And welcome here, everyone. We're excited to be here with another week of the APL. Once again, my name is Orbital. With me is, of course, Jordan Bot, and we will be your casters for this best of three, as we have a returning guest from week number 1, SGG, facing off against the blue, I believe it is blue Saber Wolves Dawn, which is a mouthful, so they're just wolves to me. But right now, I think, Jordan, we're going to have a good time.
Yep, Orbital, let's get right into it. Subatomic Gaming Graviton going to look to bounce back from a very rough, very bloody week number 1. They're featured on the broadcast. They're here again, so a redemption story could be in the mix. They need to prove themselves worthy of the APL. Are they going to be sort of bottom feeder teams, or are they going to develop? And let's see what they learned from their week 1. So as we're seeing, they're on the blue side here in game number 1. We're seeing a first pick Ari, that's Viego, Syndra, and Skarner pinched over from the blue side, with Hui, Ashe, and Cassiopeia pinched over from Blue Saber Wolves Dawn, and that's a lot of target bans coming in. We see an early Cassio ban that's towards Alphite, but he doesn't even care. He's just going to scoop up the Ari. Let's get some playmaking in the mid lane.
And I like it. I can agree with it. I personally do not like the Ari, but of course I understand the power that comes from it. What we also understand is the power of the Tristana currently in the mid lane. I think it's still been untouched. I think they are trying to patch a little bit of the Tristana mid out of there in you know, in a few weeks or so, whatever you want to say. But I think it's still a very powerful pick, especially, you know, the level 2 in. If you're wishing to match though, wondering where it goes, you can go ahead and get that Renata Glass as a great deterrent against the Ari and against anything else that SGG wish to throw.
That would be a very early lock. I would be shocked to actually see the Renata. It's not something that's really highly prioritized in the meta or from both these teams. Ooh. There's the Milio. Okay, we did sort of, we see Silly Goofy grabbing the Milio. A lot of success on Milio week number 1, and they do love playing the ADCs mid. So whenever you have like sort of 2 AD carries kind of able to be empowered by this champion, you do have a lot of scaling kind of no matter what. So now the question, the ball is sort of thrown onto SGG's side. Are they going to be able to draft anything that makes the Milio's life a little bit scary, or whatever 80 carries that champion's trying to empower? We see the Kaisa, so we're already seeing some very early dive themes coming through from SGG here, and we criticized them in week number 1 for a lot of just inaction, or just not a lot of power, not a lot of tools coming in from their drafts. In week number 1 we saw a very lackluster Maokai, and we said something along the lines of, let's pick up this Leona, or in this case the Nautilus. Kaisa Nautilus, extremely aggressive, so I already love the adaptation that we're coming in. We're kind of seeing a new SGG from week number 1 and week number 2, so very excited to see. That's an explosive couple first 3 picks there.
It's a lot more standard as well. This is a composition that we know and love. I mean, this rounds out a pretty powerhouse trio for SGG. At the same time, the Wolves are doing the exact same. I mean, the Milio and Jinx, if this is locked in, it does put a lot of AD pressure down, which means the optimization in terms of items may be a little bit easy for SGG unless you go for that AP jungle, which we have seen as well. But I think the Wolves are also drafting themselves a pretty nice composition overall. These are both compositions that have clear-cut goals. SGG leaning into that team, or not team fight, more the pick and run style, whereas the Wolves feel a little bit better, I think, with that front to back. I mean, if you're winning, if you're rushing it down, I mean, you can use that Jinx and Tristana to power through towers. Already top lane though being pinched right now.
Yep, 100%. So we're gonna have to see what they're gonna pick up on 4 here. I will note that SGG was using a substitute jungler on week number 1. They were looking a little shaky. They were not getting a lot of things generated on the map. This week number 2, Shymite is back in the jungle. He is here tonight. So we're gonna have to see if he's going to pull out something crazy. We've known him for his Bel'Veth a lot in solo queue, but we're gonna see what he's able to grab for himself. As we see, that is a blind pick, Mordekaiser for the top lane. That's Zoro grabbing that up. And he's no shy at picking fighters up there.
I like that. You know, if you're gonna 1v1 anyone, it's the guy that loves 1v1ing and hoping to win. Zoro gonna be trying to give us a little bit of a taste of what for, but the Mordekaiser also leads into very easy counter pick options. There's a reason Mordekaiser is not, I want to say, seen as frequently. I mean, you can 1v1, but there are some champions that can bully it out. I personally have seen some Renekton's do very well in the early stages. Later, maybe not so much. The Vi locked in, still following along the lines of one person will die, whether it's Tristana, Milio, or Jinx, someone will fall, and I actually really appreciate that one. Of course, this last pick here, the counter pick against the Mordekaiser, what is it going to be? I want very strong fighter, and you know, go for the best of both worlds with this Volibear. We know the Volibear can duel, whether it's AP, tank, or bruiser, whatever you want to play, Volibear can do it.
Yeah, that the Navori Rod of Ages build with the Jack of all trades has just been such a menace in the top lane. You kind of have infinite sustain, but it looks like it might even be a Mordekaiser flex pick going to the jungle.
Wow.
Maybe some early research or just kind of flexing that early. Not a lot of kind of CC or go tools coming in from Blue Saber Wolves. We criticize SGG's drafts in week number 1, and so far I'm loving what SGG has drafted themselves. I feel like they watched our broadcast and heard some of the things that we were saying about their draft, because they had no go buttons. Remember, we were talking about this. They had the Skarner that goes through walls, not like not a point and click engage, right? And they had Maokai support, which again is fallen so far down in favor. They have so much engage on the left side of your screen right now. I would be terrified to be this Jinx going through early game, right? Like there are going to be people hunting for you.
I'd actually be worried about the damage output in the late stage game. I mean, this is like, if Blue Saber Wolves can get through the early game, their late game is actually pretty strong. Tristana outputs a lot of damage. The Mordekaiser is going to 1v1 anyone. Ornn's going to be bringing out the ornaments. I mean, we see very clear-cut definitions here. So as much as we are giving SGG praise for Blue Saber Wolves, what do they need to do to get through this early game? Because as he said, I mean, at level 6 or even pre, either Jinx or Tristana is going to die. How do you circumvent that for Blue Saber Wolves?
Yeah, I love the way you put that, because based on like, you got the Ornn, you got the backline, you got the Enchanter, like we've got late game in the bag, but how are we going to get there? How are we going to absorb all the pressure coming in from the point and click abilities of like Nautilus? Volibear can tower dive. He might not be tower diving an Ornn, he might just roam the map. Like, so this Tristana has to be very careful, calculated. They have to get control of mid lane, because you're not going to have control of bot lane. I can almost promise you that. So we'll have to track what this Mordekaiser is able to do in the jungle. Again, like not a lot of setup tools, but if they play their composition very well to its fullest and they can kind of trade kills off of SGG pulling the trigger on them, we've talked about this kind of stuff before. Very hard to do, but it's definitely possible if played at a high level. So SGG is going to pull the trigger, and the question is Blue Saber Wolves Dawn going to be ready for it?
All right, well, there you go. For the Wolves, they're going to try and soak in that pressure, not die to it, hopefully bounce back towards that late game or get early kills. I don't know. For SGG, they need to win early. I want to see them lock it down. I want to see them roll through the early mid, and I want to see that proactivity come out of there. Right now, we are in the APL, hoping for a good week 2 match. Let's go ahead, go to a short break, make sure the players are set to go, and as soon as that's done, we'll get right into game number 1. Don't go anywhere.
move closer, but with a deeper sweat. Oh, beneath them we look on. When they part comes the hatred they bring. Lost in the dark, we've come so far. Another step to rid the pain. Go and be counted till your last day. 'Cause only nightmares break their face. So stand upon these fallen lands and follow in our Father's plans. Yeah, until the end we will remain, and we'll hold on until our last breath. So what is to be left for us? My people look on and say, don't fear what you don't know, 'cause we're far from certain fate. And we'll make our final stand. Lost in the dark, we've come so far. Another step to rid the pain. Go and be counted till your last day. 'Cause only nightmares break their flames. So stand upon these fallen lands and follow in our Father's plans. Yeah, until the end we will remain, and we'll hold on until the last
And we are back ready to go with another fun game. Again, the draft was pretty dang interesting, but this time around we're hoping for a little bit more out of SGG. Now again, before we get underway, I do want to shout out once again Pro Comps, the amazing sponsor and game changer app for the league community. Shout out to them for going ahead and making a tool for everyone to use if they so wish. Go ahead and download it. It helps you out during the draft, also in game, taking a look, making sure you're drafting right, and making sure you're getting the LP along the way. Make sure to go check them out at procomps.gg. Download it from Overwolf or click the panel below in our stream as well. Make sure again to check out Pro Comps, because sometimes you get a little bit of silliness like this. Right now we're taking a look here, and it is going to be walked by as the Wolves don't want to give anything away. However, it is understood at this current point, if you walk in, SGG are going to have a little bit better time, but no one recalled, and now we're going to get that dance of death, and that's going to be the first block of Zorg. It's a huge knockup. How much more are you going to get? You still die. However, the death is coming up rampant, and right now this is a Jinx heaven. If you get these kills, it's another one as Mystic is starting to pop off here. Barriers used, but you don't get much, and that's going to be the kill over the wall. Another one to hang on as Mystic gets 2 and an assist. Waiting for a bit more, but you're not going to have it, and a quick little recall from Iska is going to get them out alive, but a 2-for-2 power still, I think, leans in favor of Mystic.
Yeah, so when the dust settles, it's a 2 for 2 at the end of the day. You kind of have to zoom in on who died right now, because a lot of sums burned kind of on both sides. It's going to feel a little bit bad for Yomi not having his summoners, but that barrier is on a 3-minute cooldown, as we all know and love. And he's also picked up the early long sword for himself because he died and was able to base. So the Jinx money is all in her pocket right now, meaning it's not impacting the game at all. But that was a huge bloody exchange, a lot of sums burned on both sides. So action seen so far, and you know me and you love action on this broadcast.
Oh, 100%. We love to get that messy. We love to get silly, and also to see how teams bounce back from this silly. SGG kind of baited into that one. I mean, the Wolves did see it, and they said, hey, maybe we can get a bit more. Zoro, of course, for their own worth, did go down in that setup, and that was one of the big questions, is how is that going to bounce back, and is it really right to lead because you are up against a Nautilus and everything of the sort. So many little things to the puzzle here that we get to watch for and really see if it is going to influence the rest of this game. At the current moment, though, the junglers are just trying to clear through their camps. Right now, Aengs looks like they're able to do a decent bit, but Zoro on the top side eating a lot of damage, and this is kind of what happens in this instance. Iska saying, okay, I mean, you counterpicked with the Ornn, but I'm still going to win the top lane.
Yeah, and as we remember from week 1, Iska was sort of the bright light for SGG, doing pretty well, absorbing pressure and pressuring himself in that 1v1 in the top lane. So he'll have control of this lane. Zoro is just trying to sustain through it, and he's doing his job on his side, farming grass procs and whatnot. He was kind of the hero of the level 1, as we're seeing a little bit of an exchange. This is Tristana's normal play pattern. She's super annoying. She's going to hit the minions for that absorb life and just create an HP advantage for herself. And Ahri is largely not really in control of this lane until level 6. And then obviously on her malignant spike, so we'll see what they're able to do. But the go buttons on the side of SGG cannot be understated enough. Very excited to see when their composition sort of comes online, and it's going to be up to the Wolves to play conservative and sort of absorb that pressure.
At this point, I think they're also just kind of understanding that we don't want to make that crazy move for the Wolves. I mean, you can see the full clear coming out of Aengs, who is trying to power farm to level 6. Shymight hasn't shown themselves, so I think you're in a pretty good spot. Bot side, keep in mind the reason that we did see Silly Goofy actually roam into that mid lane is because Mystic decided to take that back, got a very nice recall off, and is now going to hold their own. This is going to be interesting, though. Aengs going for that quick grab of these Raptors and will be spotted out here. A little bit of a dangerous pass. Was able to grab all the smalls, but the smite comes out from Shymight to grab the large, and that's really where a lot of the XP is.
Yep, that's really good. Both junglers kind of have similar priorities here in the early game, but SGG with just a million go buttons. So you're going to see as he sort of just makes an appearance in the bot side of the map, making sure they're playing a little bit scared. Iska riding that fine line, as many top laners do. We see this whether it's a wet noodle fight or whatnot, HP bars get low and they're just playing their own little fighting game up there.
I think the big thing is, remember, Iska and Zoro both did not have flash, so that would be a little difficulty. And ooh, maybe that's why Zoro disconnected, and unfortunately internet may have gotten the better of him. Either way, something that we weren't really expecting. Iska was getting better trades in the early stages, but Zoro really able to bite back, and that's what you like to see out of an Ornn counter match.
Yep, that's pretty good. When the dust settles after this pause, Iska's just going to teleport back to the lane, so the lane state was not super favorable, but he's got that one get out of jail free card, as we do love when solo laners have ways to get back in after a bit of a losing situation.
Of course, in the mid lane, we get to take a look at everything around here. In the mid lane, Wisteria starting to stir up a little bit of a lead of their own, 10 CS up. You can see the wave state also for Alphite, not exactly in a great spot. So that Tristana that you mentioned getting that HP lead is now starting to build a gold lead behind it to almost try and match the kill and assist that went to Alphite.
Yep, we're just working through some of the catch up that happens when a pause occurs, I do believe. So we'll get right back into the action. Ahri up a recall, Jinx up a recall. So we'll have to see what happens once we resume play.
I think we're going to be just fine. And For I'll fight, it's another section that pause may have given him time to kind of think, how am I going to start influencing this lane? Of course, that question is quickly answered by Wisteria saying, nope, you don't get to do that for free. I haven't recalled just yet, so I'm still able to power farm. I'm going to try and hit level 6 and get a little bit messy. Meanwhile, Shymite's going to look for that first strike, went over the wall completely unspotted by the rest of the Wolves and just saying, cool, I'm chill, no worries. I'm going to get this first strike and look to try and snowball that Drake objective.
Yeah, I like what SGG did here. They did establish both lane prio in mid and bot and enabled this Vi to go for like a safe sneak of the dragon. You're not under too much threat of a Mordekaiser kind of rolling up. He's just going to waddle with his 2 legs and see if he can give you a bash on the head with his hammer. But there's it's good team play comparative to what we saw in week number 1. There was just a big disconnect on the team, and it looks like these guys are at least talking about how to make this dragon a possibility. And as we're kind of gearing towards some of the laners starting to hit that level 6 mark, so some sparks might be flying soon as we see Ari go for another recall for that lost chapter.
Just put yourself in a nice little even spot. And for SGG, this is actually where it starts getting a little bit worrisome, I think. We were really hoping to see Shymite really enter into the scene. I think for a Vi, even pre-level 6, Vi has some of the best ganks, and the fact that all the lanes have been relatively quiet, I think speaks a little bit more to the Wolves just playing very passively and understanding that they don't need to force anything just yet, kind of stifling out options for SGG. So I'm very curious if this continues onwards, or we're going to see a shakeup if Shymite might just look for that all in. I mean, mid lane, yes, it's Tristana, but with that assault and battery, it's a very simple way to get onto a Tristana who's trying to run. So little bits and pieces here that we're wondering. This is that trade out. Keep in mind the dragon, or no, actually no trade out. The dragon went down over to Shymite, and now also the grubs going the same way.
Yeah, so that's part of the early pressure that we're talking about. SGG is holding all the cards right now. They have all the threat on the map, so they've inched out a dragon and 3 grubs for themselves. They have fallen a little bit behind in CS to obtain the lane priority and sack a necessary amount of creeps in order to achieve both those objectives. So the next time around, are we going to see the Wolves bite back when it comes to Drake control and the second grubs control? Because giving 6 grubs to a Volibear that really has only 1 goal is really not where you want to be in the game. That's a very stressful point for the Wolves. So we're going to see what happens in these next couple of minutes here on which teams can get set up around those kind of objectives, and if the Wolves are going to choose to activate sort of on the map.
I mean, they're trying to. Unfortunately, Mordekaiser's big and clunky. It's pretty obviously seen on top of a ward, so can't do much else with that factor. Topside's really where we've seen the only real scare in terms of HP, but Iska realizing that they might be a little bit more on the nose. Very nice ult to try and deny that final knockup, but the HP lead is not in your favor. Even with the shield, Zoa is still feeling pretty dang good. Only had the boots behind it as well. So Zoro now getting free lane control here.
Yeah, both top laners are going to feel fine about that. The Ornn is surviving and scaling, and the Volibear does have the CDR shoes, so he's going to be able to continue with that play pattern. The ult's on a lower cooldown, so again, it's going to be on the Wolves. Do they want to sort of establish vision control and get a lot of bodies around that bot side river in about 2 minutes when that dragon is coming up? Or are they just going to keep trying to play super passive and try to absorb as much farm as they can and then really activate on that first item completion? And I am sort of surprised to see SGG not make something happen around this bottom lane, like whether it's even just blowing the summoners or whatnot, because ideally you want to bring this Vi and this Ari behind the Milio Jinx and just see if you can just create a dive, right? Like that's like the golden ticket, right? You stack up the Kai'Sa passive, you kill the Jinx, you make her miss a big wave or something, and she had a shutdown on her head up until very recently. So we'll see if they can actually achieve what their comp is trying to do here in these last couple moments of the early game.
I mean, I gotta agree with you. I was hoping to see more action, but it feels, even though they drafted much better this time around, it still feels like SGG are sitting in that same spot of a lot of inactivity. They're just not willing to pull that trigger. They don't see any options, and I hate saying it, sometimes you gotta force it. Sometimes you do need to make those opportunities of your own. At this point, Mystic chilling out with what you were talking about, that bounty over the head, 150 thanks to the 2 kills in their pocket. And Of course, topside Iska, even though you're not getting kills, you are getting plates and a little bit extra gold in your pocket, but you're down a lot of CS. So that's why we're seeing this gold lead kind of stay in that 400 to 500 range pretty extensively around this side. And I mean, Zoro still up, and the plates were really what drifted it back into Iska's favor. Either way, it's a little bit of a question mark as Alphight is really shifting up, and this is probably one of the more obvious bait situations that that Alphight's trying to put.
Yep. With 20 seconds on this dragon, you can kind of see it on the map. SGG need to concede the second dragon, and as long as I see Angst going to the top side of the map, they are definitely content with giving 2 dragons. So it's going to be on SGG to sort of get organized around this dragon and then quickly traverse into topside to try and get the rest of the grubs. I think will be the goal for them, because it looks like the Wolves are kind of rolling over in terms of early game objectives. So the question becomes, is the soul roll going to be good, and then can you actually get that third dragon? Because that's where the game gets really scary for the scaling team, because again, the compositions transform. It looks like we're going to have a mountain soul on the table for that side. And again, if SGG are able to tap into that sort of power, that will put their composition over the edge in terms of, are we just an early game comp, or are we able to traverse the later portions? So it looks like the grubs are being tickled with from Angst. Wow. I think he smite secured one of them, so he's going to deny the 6. But it's still a pretty good early game coming in from SGG. They aren't converting on a lot of the cooldowns they have available to them, but they are getting those objectives. They are pressuring and showing a lot of presence on the Rift. They're just being a little bit hesitant to pull the trigger.
And honestly, I'm a little bit worried about this one. This is going to be the call down. Zoro's going to try and jump in and around. A jump out by Shymite, though, leaves everyone a little bit high and dry. This will be the grab by Aang's. We mentioned that you had to deny the grubs. We were planning on seeing those 4 grubs. No, SGG have to give it all. And it's surprising, again, the team with so many go buttons decides against it. Wisteria ensuring that you go ahead, drop in on the bot side, save that tower, save the plates, and Yomi doesn't get that much of an extensive lead.
Yeah, I have to kind of say that's a bit of a shot calling diff right there, because SGG, I'm looking to the left side of my screen. They have 5 ultimates available. They have four flashes available after Shymite flashed away defensively. What are we afraid of? I don't fully understand. Like, Jinx Rocket could have maybe come in. I see maybe it's on cooldown now. I'm not sure the SGG really knew that, so maybe they were scared of the presence of a Jinx moving up and coming in as sort of that later visitor. But just pick a target. You have the buttons to absolutely blow someone up. So are they going to be able to? Again, this third dragon is what we're really going to look forward to. If SGG can really align what they're trying to do on the map, pick a target and fire. You miss 100% of the shots that you do not take, and you really need to take advantage of the time that your composition is far superior, right? You have Vi level 6, you have Nautilus level 6. Somebody needs to get taken out. That's what you play for, right?
It's a situation where we already said they're on a timer, and this is kind of their go button here.
Right now.
Coming in as Iska's going to try and jump in. However, you might be ulted out, and that leaves Alphight alone in the back line. A little bit of a depth charge is going to keep him up in the air, but look at the draw.
The Jinx
this
reset
thing is still very much alive, and Aang's is able to fire away. That's going to reset the Jinx. Jinx is able to step forward a little bit further, and Iska is going to fall. Final bop on the head, and SGG, we said we want to see the trigger pulled. However, that trigger felt a little bit forced.
Yeah, the posture was around the Tristana. Alphight kind of 1v1ing this crazy 80 carry in the mid lane that's got a Blade of the Rune King and loses his ult charges just to kind of thin air, right? And then we go for a massive 5v5 where the Wolves are able to put their front line, this unkillable front line that they've drafted for themselves, in the front. And that Jinx is completely untapped in the back. And that, like, from outer space, you can kind of see the Wolves are going to win that way. And it's on SGG to sort of play the map and rotate around faster than the enemy. You have this Kaisa that can come in from literally Africa. You have the Vi with extreme chase potential, tower dives coming in from the Volibear, and we're just not pulling the trigger. That seems to be the story of this early game, at least so far.
I wouldn't even say just pulling the trigger. It's pulling the trigger as 5. Keep in mind, Iska did want to fight. And when I say forced it, Iska felt like the only one. You called for the TP and yet no one else wanted to follow up. We need SGG, everyone, on the same page. That is what I hope to see on a subatomic level. I want to see all of them really putting their heads together and ensuring that if they decide to go in, doesn't matter if it's one person falling or you get aced, everyone needs to work together. Nice thing here, you have 2 dragons to your name, you have 3 grubs, and now you get the herald behind, meaning you will be able to break open at least one of these towers, maybe aim for a little extra gold. As honestly, it has been SGG outside of those fights that have been getting a lot of plate gold that has kept them within only about 2k difference in the deficit.
Yep. And so the sort of the silver lining here is that your composition is extremely strong early. So we've got 1 item completions coming in. Ari's on her biggest spike that she's going to achieve in this game. The Sundered Sky coming in through the Vi. The dueling is absolutely out of this world right now. And Volibear loves those 2 items. Navori, Quick Blades, I believe it's called, Flicker Blade. Maybe I'm getting that right or wrong. And then the Roa. So there is things to look forward to. SGG are still very much in contention of this game. The gold is certainly 2.5k right now, and that's going to be felt across the rift, but there's so much trigger pull, there's so much CC that somebody getting blown out of the water, just call out a target and send it on that person, right? Jinx has a 250 shutdown. There's 5 people that can flash on her like right now.
And we're not just talking about that damage output of the CC, because Milio is there to try and keep Mystic alive. It's just the raw damage that can come out. So I think that's really the thing. You got to not be scared about that Milio. You just need to full on send it. And right now with this dragon you were mentioning before, get the dragon, get that third, like, and maybe the wolves are going to get something. I like this call though. Drop the herald, say, hey, battle on 2 fronts. Aang's though is saying, yo, I don't even care about that. Lose a tower. We're still playing for the late game. Let's get this dragon. Mountain would feel so good on a team like the Wolves. That's going to be a little bit of a firing out. The Prey Seekers don't really find anything. And look at that. They are forced off. This is a 4v4. And that is wild to see. Aang's is now going to get charmed up. Dragon is already secured, so it doesn't even matter. And Aang's is just going to walk away. No, he calls down the ult. Decker is not going to enjoy this one. A 1v1 against a jungle lord who is 3 levels higher than you will kill you. Now Shy Might is looking to help out, but this might be a little bit of a bait. Wisteria is watching as you fight Shy Might, but the rocket goes a little bit sideways by Mystic. A final booster shot though doesn't finish off Shy Might. And the test of limits is going to be found while Zoro 1v1s in the top lane. He ain't lost at all as the Ornn counterpick R5 seals the deal.
Absolutely amazing play coming in from the Wolves. They're able to actually activate what we were kind of saying was going to be difficult, and that's because the simple fact, SGG are playing really scared and they're not flanking. They have Ahri, Kai'Sa, Vi, Nautilus, right? And there's no flanking going on. They absolutely just funnel in as 4, and they stare this unkillable front line, and they just don't have an answer. Like yes, of course you don't have an answer. You're not using what your composition is designed to do. This Jinx had no flash in that fight, and that was their big opportunity really to make the game a little bit scary in their favor. So now it's actually onto the Wolves. Power is kind of completely shifted in their direction, and now the roster of SGG now have to play a little bit conservative, find a pocket of vision where they can maybe generate sort of a pick, because the game is starting to accelerate and falling off the rails a little bit.
Oh man. And here's the sad part. The Wolves has all the control now, and I don't think SGG have a window back either. That's the rough thing as well. This comp that we talked about early stages really needs to pop off. They haven't done anything. That gold lead has steadily climbed. This is not the sharp incline that we normally see out of a gold lead, right? This is not that, hey, all of a sudden you are now 15k in the lead and you don't know what really happened. This is a slow incremental climb that the Wolves have put together. And SGG are just now realizing that across the board, there is not a single person, well, outside of Alphite in the mid lane, that has a gold lead on the side of SGG, and that should terrify them. You should be able to notice it in the items. The fact that you only have 3 kills and you are floundering for these options, SGG have to realize they're on life support right now.
Yeah, I'm looking at the speed that Mystic's able to clear these mid waves, and I'm sort of seeing the dive angle, right? Like if you can, like Iska sort of found a window there where he walked behind mid tower. I think the whole team should be looking at this Jinx and going, we need to erase her from the map. And she's not unkillable. She has a Milio, but that's one layer of safety, right? She has a flash, that's another layer, right? But again, if SGG really want this Jinx to die and to dive mid. Here we go. Okay, so we're actually going to organize around the bot side. Wisteria is up to the creek without a paddle, going to try and buffer out of this one.
I think Wisteria is just going to walk away. That's going to be the assault and battery, and you're bumped right back, but you flash away, and now you get the heal. Milio is going to be there, but it's only going to be bait. Yes, you killed one. How many more are you going to get? Zoro joining in. Rocket from downtown misses once again. Not a single one has hit, and there's that trigger pull. However, you had to put 3 into that battle. It took quite a long time, but you got it. You know what? We'll take it. Well done to SGG.
That was really good. That was really good. That was the first time this game that we've really seen them use their composition, because they didn't fight fair. They didn't let the Ornn be the front line unkillable. He had to teleport in to a very suspect situation, right? So they really got to create this kind of magic where you're not fighting fair. Don't let their tanks get in the front. Don't let their backline be organized, right? And Iska is going to try and take a bite out of the jungler here.
I mean, Iska can't really do much. That's going to be giving Wisteria right back into the game. You go ahead, take him out once, now you got the kills, and all of a sudden that Bork Tristana is going to start running rampant.
Yep, doing wonders for them there. Again, 1 minute on the Drake timer. This is, again, another great opportunity for SGG to make the game a little bit stressful for the Wolves there, because this idea of the Mountain Soul, that will nullify a lot of the damage items that they're picking up on the side of the Wolves. The gold lead is shrunk a little bit with that extra pick there. Looking at maybe 1.5k. Is that what I'm? Yeah, yeah, about 1.5k. So it's shrunk a little bit. So that pick that they got in the side lane has actually manifested itself into something meaningful. But again, the team play is where these guys are going to find their way back into this game. They need to organize, and they need to maybe I like that they are stacking waves. You see the CS is suffering on the left side, but the game is in a bit of a dire situation. So somebody has to take the fall. If Iska can keep generating pressure somewhere, again, pressuring this Ornn it's really just not it. You got to get behind the Jinx, you got to get behind the Trist and make their game really scary. So we're going to see if they're able to do that. Drake is spawning right about now.
I think that's going to be the name play of the game. Keep in mind, you were mentioning that pressure. Well, this time the pressure is coming to you. You have to fight around this objective, and that's going to be a very nice sweeper, catching everyone a little bit off guard. But Shy Might running up to the top side might get a little bit of damage on top of him. Zapper is not going to land. Ornhorn lands on 3, and you're able to kick this one off. Zekker guy has to jump forward. He uses depth charge to try and buy a little bit of time, but I'm not sure he's going to work. Milio getting that warm hearth under everyone, allowing misses to go on a killing spree, getting a little bit more as it's only 2 and the rest of SGG scatter. And a team that is supposed to go forward has to retreat. The Wolves are winning every single team fight, and I don't see it stopping anytime soon. Shy Might looking for a little bit of steal. I don't think you're going to get it, though.
Oh, and now he actually has to hightail it out of here. The Milio is going to hit the Q here. Mystic is firing. Here comes the ulti.
You don't have a chance. That hurts. I mean, you don't have flash. You don't have a way out. Outfight is now getting ulted as well. And everyone on the side of SGG just kind of trickled their way into death. That hurts. Another 2 handed over to Mystic, and that's 3 total in the team fight. Wolves now see an opening for Baron.
Yeah, that's kind of the door being closed on SGG, apart from a massive throw. We're going to see if they're able to secure Baron number 1. But Ornn's at that point now where he can kind of start to sack side waves and just be that unkillable front line for the Jinx. So the Jinx has too much safety now. So quickly running out of options are the members of SGG. As Yomi finds himself on the enemy side of the map, unable to do anything. Again, these cooldowns are just being saved because they aren't being used productively. That's been the name of this game. The triggers aren't being pulled on the right members or at the right times, and they're just kind of stumbling into some of these objectives thinking that, oh, we're stronger. Oh, but what happens if this Mordekaiser has a Milio behind her?
It's just the timer's gone. We mentioned that there was time to work, and now you have none. Iska trying to build. You mentioned a little bit of that attack speed. Rod of Aegis behind it as well. So, you know, may have some dueling potential, but at this point, really, I'm actually looking at the Wolves. I want to see them just close out the game neatly. You have everything in your bucket. You have a level 15 Ornn, for Pete's sake. I mean, you're already upgrading the Tristana, looking at that Jinx next. I mean, you don't really have anything to worry about, and I really hope they notice this. You don't have to be scared of anything. At this point, the siege coming out of the Wolves is nigh unstoppable. Outside of one of you dying, and even at that point, it's only going to be one. If it's going to be one of the ADCs, you have another to back it up.
Totally. Yep. So it's just going to be on the Wolves to kind of diffuse any surprise play that SGGs can make. You see them setting up on the left side, trying to deny some kind of vision to look for maybe a hook on a face checking member. But if Mystic does his due diligence, waits for his frontline member, like you're seeing right now, and the Milio can just play behind Mystic, this guy's unkillable and he's got all the damage items he needs. So we're going to see, here comes the flash hook.
Wow. I mean, this is going to be the attempt, and we love to see that backline dive, and they do shut down the Jinx, and it works this time. That's two, and it's a very late engaged tool from Mysteria and the rest. But remember, Aegis is alive, so is Mysteria, so is Zoro. Yes, you got a few, but this is what we were scared about. Shymite getting blown backwards, and even though SGG did everything right, it's a little too late.
Yep, exactly. SGG have so many go buttons, and you just got to see what they should have done to Jinx about 10 times in the last 25 minutes. They did it once. They did it literally once. And we just described the situation. Mystic's unkillable. Blink later and he's dead on your screen because there's too much point and click on the side of SGG. Your comp does functioned. You do have a lot of buttons to press in the first 25, but they couldn't find the windows to actually press them. They finally manned up, they pulled the trigger before these TPs get channeled to come in. And again, it is a little bit too little too late in the sense that, yeah, we lost our AD carry. Well, guess what? We have another, and Tristan is just kind of wiping your team in the backline. Infinity Edge picked up on that side. So 3 items on each side of the marksman with this unkillable front line. The cards are still in the Wolves, but that's a good bite back from the side of SGG.
I again, I love their draft. Both teams' draft is so good, but when we talk about the execution, that was one of those that we had to watch for. So SGG, hopefully they've learned from this, because at this point it's a do or die situation. You have to send it on anyone that you do find, and unfortunately, I say anyone that you can find, but there is very clear target of who you should be hitting, right? Like if you hit the Ornn, it ain't really gonna work. It's not really gonna give you anything. This is gonna be Dragon in just under a minute, and quite honestly, you can see SGG really don't have the warding capabilities right now. They're just now laying wards down as Mysteria jumps right in. I was not expecting this one, as the rocket is going to land, and that's gonna be annihilation of your backline. Mystic now has 2 charges to get excited. You're about to have another one. Yes, you do. That's 3. Another jump on Decker means it's a 4th. And that's gonna be 3 in the back pocket of Mystic. A single for Wisteria, and Iska's all alone. Well, the Wolves are just gonna charge right down mid lane.
Yep, and it looks like SGG is going to get their base perforated here. Ornn is going to take up the towers to not much avail. This backdoor protection is very real, but he doesn't really care about his HP bar, so he's going to tank that up for the boys, and they're going to get the first inhibitor of the game. Will they go for more is the question, and I think they might, but you could easily just play it safe. They're going to actually leave because you have ornaments, you got the late game in the bag, so it's just going to be on them. Spend the money that you just made from acing the enemy team, basically, and then get on the map, deny that dragon as it has a bounty for the enemy team, do your due diligence, and then push out your side waves.
I mean, it's just so simple, right? Not only that, they're actually prepping for a little bit of a fight. I actually really like this call. SGG, they want to try and check this dragon, but I don't think Shymite can, and that's gonna be the jump on. There's a little bit of a hop. Shymite is able to jump away up towards the rest of the team, but you still lose out on a lot. There's a dragon being taken down, and I mean, SGG are just hunting for little pieces that they can work with at this point.
Yep, they should actually be able to secure this mid tower, and then you ask yourself, is that going to get Kai'Sa her 3rd item, or maybe Ahri her 3rd item, something like this. So they are marching down mid. This is where they're overplaying their hand. I think they're biting off way more than they can chew here, and I think this is a very dangerous play from them, given that the tempo has reset. Wolves are back on the map, and they do look ready. Yeah, and as we're seeing the result.
You go ahead and kill one. Decker has no way out, no flash available. And this is just the powerhouse roam. What a call, though. Zoro with the flank of a century. Long range is going to force the ult out as well. And Wisteria gets reset after reset, a flash forward. A final Zanya's. I think Outfight, that's the first time they've used it because they just picked it up. And that's going to be game under 30 minutes. The Wolves simply sat and waited for their prey to tire out. When you hunt like this, the tactics are too dang good. GG for game number 1, and the Wolves look pretty dang clean.
Yeah, I like the draft coming in from SGG, but I like the Wolves play a little bit more. SGG played with a little bit too much not enough confidence, not enough bolster. They need to be willing to pull that trigger much more often, because you saw what happened. We don't care that you have a Milio. We're pressing our buttons on your Jinx, and their Jinx is absolutely dying. That needed to happen way more often. We stated it several times throughout this game.
And I mean, for the Wolves, I feel like you also understand you're not going to get away with that once again, right? Like that game one feels like, hey, we got, we expected to get dumpstered a little bit more. We expected one of our ADCs to maybe lose out a little bit more. Do you think that's the case, or do you think this is actually what they planned? Because I mean, that's a Mordekaiser jungle. You're saying we are giving up the laning presence to have a farming jungler. What do you think about that? Do you think this is what they planned, or do you think they're going to shake it up game two?
I'm trying to visualize how you can really draft the Tristana Mordekaiser Jinx Milio combo, because it has no CC, it has no setup.
Right.
I was scratching my head, how on earth are they going to get through this game? And then when you pick the Milio that early on in the draft, you're saying to your opponents, I dare you. You're not going to dive me. You're not going to set up around me. You're not organized a team to snowball on me. I'm going to free scale. It's the same as picking like Seraphine, right? You're just saying like, you don't have what it takes to actually cleanly snowball on me. And then they literally picked the 5 like premier snowball champs. Like the comp is so scary. The Jinx dying one time in that entire game is like absolutely unacceptable. Like, so against better teams, that does not work. That is not going to fly. You picked an immobile AD carry, you picked a 0 lane pressure enchanter support, and you expected to like come out even or ahead bottom. It happened, but it's not going to happen in playoffs. I'm telling you that right now. No way.
That's fair. I think that's fair. And you know what? If there's one time to get away with it, it's right now. Get your wins where you can in the season, and then see if it works later on as well. Maybe it won't, maybe it will. Right now, though, we are going to go to a quick break. Get ready for game number 2. Hopefully, SGG has found a little bit more confidence and a little bit more bravado to go for some of these plays. Either that, or they're going to lose out 0-2 here. Let's see what happens. Don't go anywhere. The APL will be right back.
push it away. In dance chase and whispers before they all just fade. So how can I leave it all behind when I refuse to watch it fall to dust? I will find a this porcelain mirage may start to break. Each piece a reminder, every single little mistake. So how can I leave it all behind when I refuse to watch it fall to dust? Tell me why it won't ever be the same. I'll burn it all, no matter who's to blame. I'll find a way. I'll find a way. And every time I close my eyes, a little less of you remains. I know you're slipping further from me now. Am I too far away?
And we are here once again with the game number 2. SGG still on the blue side, and you know what? I don't hate it. I love the banner that Tristana saying, yo, that was painful. Let's never play against it again. For the Wolves, though, keeping it about the same, keeping it with the Cassiopeia and the Ash, which I think are very understandable. But for Subatomic Gaming Graviton, this is where things get tricky. You already tossed one ban into that game number 1, and now you might be checking to do another if you so wish. Honestly, if you're going to get a little bit messy, I wouldn't be bad with the Jinx ban, but grabbing it yourself is probably better. Love the double ADC ban, though. Don't dislike it, I should say.
Yeah, let's find out where the adaptations come from for SGG, because they didn't really have control of mid, and that they weren't able to create agency in the game when they had the tools to. Again, they were a little timid, a little scared to pull the trigger on certain members. But again, that comes with you're on stage essentially, and you're in a bit of a pressure situation, and that causes a little bit more passive play. So do you adapt? Do you take some more late game tools? It's actually going to be a trade. So the first pick, Jinx, that's a takeaway. The Wolves is not getting to see that again, taking away that from Mystic. He had a great game on it. So nope, we're going to deny that. We're going to deny the Tristana as well. The Ahri and the Quirky actually scooped up. Okay, so that would not be normal. These are ego ADC hovers, of course. Hilarious on the side of the Wolves. But yeah, that Ahri picked up for some backline access. So it's kind of a reversal of roles.
Oh, do it.
So
Yes.
And this will be,
do it to him.
This will be the Wolves going with a little bit of a different look for them. They kind of just said, give me your champions, we'll do it better. So we'll see the Wolves are doing a little bit of a different approach, seeing if they can expand their wheelhouse and maybe opt into some more early game aggression, because they played safe, they played conservative, and they played very well around their front line, back line kind of 5v5 dynamics. So now this is going to be a bit of a change of pace, a little bit different script there. So we're seeing a little bit of a counter matchup, the Talia being picked up. So SGG might have a different story to be told in the mid lane, because Tristana does not fight fair. We all know that. But now we're actually getting two AP mage style champions in the mid lane, going to throw some rocks and orbs at each other. So that should be a little bit more up in the air, who's able to get the edge in that matchup.
I think that also might be jungle Talia. That could be a very real thing that we've seen with some people. They still love to run it in there, and it frees up the mid lane a little bit more. The Poppy, though, still a lot of dash denial tools. SGG are actually the ones now playing the reactivity factor, which I'm not so sure about. However, the Wolves, we're not just seeing grab your own champions. This is a slap in the face of I can do it better than you. The Nautilus hover saying, please give it a try. The Renata glass once again hovered. This is something that they did last time. I don't really see it, but the Braum makes a little bit of sense. Of course, that doesn't really go forward situation. So to go ahead and grab it does lean into, okay, maybe we need some safe factions. We really don't want it falling into the hands of a Jinx.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll have to see what how the draft sort of develops. A little bit of protect, a little bit of dive themes coming in. A lot of dashes on the side of the Wolves, and Poppy, the anti-dash champion, being picked up. So again, Iska's going to eat another respect Aatrox ban. Garen, Zoro's not touching that champion. A lot of top laners being kind of pinched here. What do you pick on R4? Because that Poppy can theoretically go anywhere. Jungle, top, support, depending on the player. Is that Iska receiving some respect on the Volibear? Volibear is always an annoying champion to deal with, so Zoro was able to carve himself out and is saying, it's blind pickable, let's not give it to him again. Again, Iska is usually a consistent member in the top lane. It seems to be drawing a lot of respect on this side of the Rift. What will the R4 be for the Wolves? We're thinking of junglers, obviously. What do you pick up? Do you pick up another flex jungler like the Mordekaiser, or something with a little bit more go buttons to aid the Talia? Or sorry, the Ahri rather. So do you grab the Vi for yourself? I don't think so. Into Poppy, and it's going to be the Skarner, which is not canceled by the Poppy W. So it's one of those junglers with movement and playmaking and all these kind of fun things. I'm curious. I doubt the Skarner E goes over the rocks and he gets stunned. I don't think he would. I think he just kind of glides through it, doesn't really care. Some of these champions are a little bit weird with that. Smolder E isn't affected by Poppy W or Talia rocks because he flies over it, right? So where do we go from here? SGG picking up the Ivern. Okay, we're going with a massively different look. Ivern is one of the crazy junglers on the patch that can do a lot of freaky things. Enables team comps, can disable others. Haven't really answered for some of the go buttons on the side of the Wolves, other than making SGG's members a little bit tankier. And are we getting a super tank Mundo? We haven't seen this pick appear in the regions somewhere or another. Blind pick Mundo. Okay, we're gonna do it, and it might be a Mordekaiser insta-lock. All right. So again, there's some flex picks here. Skarner could go jungle or top. Mordekaiser could go jungle or top. So we'll see where the Wolves like to elect to their champions. Same side on SGG. I believe it's Poppy support, if I could take a stab at it. So the big question that I'm asking is SGG. They drafted very straightforward tools in game number 1. They've drafted a very different comp in game number 2. Still has a lot of buttons. Are they going to be able to force on their opponents when it is appropriate to do so? They're not recognizing when it's their turn. They were able to convert on some early game objectives with just mere presence and then getting the grubs. And then the Wolves took that second grub fight and said, absolutely not. This is our territory now. And absolutely team fought them till the end of the game. And SGG was unable to find some of these pacing plays, some of these pick plays that we're able to get them going in some kind of fashion. So what's going to happen in game number 2? Is SGG going to roll over and die, or are they going to have something to say up against the Wolves?
I don't know. We'll have to let the game speak for itself. We are going to go to a very short break, ensure that the players are set to go, and let the Wolves take a little bit of time to scratch their head right there. I think that'll be a big point, because you're looking down the line like, oh boy, what's going to happen? I'm also going to fix my camera because that draft just blew me out of the water. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with some more APL action. And off we go. We are set for this game number 2 for Subatomic Gaming Graviton. They have drafted a drastically different composition from before. A lot more tankiness, a lot more scaling towards that late game. With the other side, the Wolves still tempering around that, you know, the mid game, if you will. A little bit of a shakeup though, grabbing up their own Kaisa as well as the Ari, and that's going to be a main linchpin. Let's see if this early game though breaks out into song and dance.
Oh yeah, you're actually right. I was thinking the Mordekaiser as well, but Angst actually just played that game number 1, so he actually just favors himself on the Mordekaiser. Mordekaiser jungle is not something we would typically expect. Very conditional counter pick, but he did pick on the 5th pick, so gonna grab that up for himself. Pretty quiet up in the top lane. Ivern has a pretty fast clear, so he can service his lanes a little bit. Very interested to see what this Poppy support is able to achieve. Poppy sometimes runs away with games all by herself if she's able to get a bunch of wall stuns, as we're seeing a little bit of exchangements in the river here, level 1. Brahm's actually going to eat that chunk and not be able to base, or at least arrive on time to lane. Going to regen some of that up with the second wind, most likely. So jungle control, not really inching in favor of either team, but again, the Jinx Poppy do have a lot of the agency. They should obtain push in the bottom lane, so SGG has that to look forward to. But then again, is Mystic going to be able to pilot the Kaisa to a similar level of success that he was able to on the Jinx? Because he's an absolute monster game number 1.
That's going to be the big part, and also just facing off against the counterpart, that the one that you pinch yourself. It's just, it's so interesting to watch for. One thing that we are going to see is that jungle pathing shake up quite a bit, as this is going to be an Ivern, and we talked about it before. Shy might kind of hopping back into the jungle role after week number 1 wasn't available for the team. In game number 2, we were hoping, or for week number 2, we were hoping for a lot more out of him, but it still seemed like the inactivity was there. So grabbing the Ivern this time around, a little bit awkward jungle pathing, but hopefully a lot more security in this pick as well.
Yeah, there's definitely a reality where Ivern is making Mundo unkillable, making Poppy able to go for wall stuns without fail. So we'll see what he's able to do on the pick, and if they're able to execute on sort of Jinx's win condition, are they going to be able to reset on some of these opponents? But Angst had a really good, solid game number 1 on the Mordekaiser's back on it again, so expect him to hit up some hard farming, and then they didn't really choose their moment to take control until second grub spawn. So the Wolves have a little bit more tools, a little bit more agency to disrupt some of the early game plans that SGG went for. So we'll see if that's going to come to avail in game number 2 here. Waves being sort of ping-ponged. We're going to see the first recall for Zoro being initiated here, and then bot lane seems to be quiet as well.
I think overall, both teams are also juggling with the fact that they could each play slow and kind of get away with it, I would say, at least in the early stages here. For the Wolves, I mean, you take a look, yes, they want to make moves, but you still have a pretty strong Mordekaiser that can get silly. Ings did fairly well, like you mentioned. On the other side, though, this time around, it does lean into SGG being a lot more safe. You don't have to force anything. If your goal is to make Yomi be an absolute disaster train for the other team, like, if you're just waiting for Yomi to be that main play stair, fine, play it slow. However, you don't want to see it fully given away, because remember how the early game started out. SGG got a fair number of the global objectives first time around.
Yep, they were able to posture, and Wolves was in a position to concede those objectives, and then they did a really good job of isolating. This is our time, we're going to activate now, and they did it as a team. They had their tanks in the front. They team fought really well. We already went over that. So the script's a little bit different this game. The team comps are very similar. There isn't like a dominant early theme coming out. So again, you're going to have to see what can we get it done in the lanes, and then what can we do with our lane priority to try and translate that into some team play.
Well, not just that, maybe a little bit of early action, as we do see a little bit of a sneak. Shy might going ahead, stepping up into the brush, trying to cheat a little bit further up. I don't think you're able to. The wave is currently set in favor of the Wolves to kind of keep complete vision. Shy might was able to stay there, but I don't think Mystic or Silly Goofy are actually going to step up. And this actually leans into what Shy might had an issue with last time, as well, as I'm sure you spotted them out right there. I think it was seen. If not, then no worries. But Aang's trying to force a little bit of a CS lead for themselves. Take a look. Camps doing very well.
Yep. No, he's got, he keeps a very high tempo. So as we're seeing, the dragon is now spawned. The grubs spawning in 45 seconds here. So what teams will obtain the priority necessary to kind of clear those objectives? Ivern is historically terrible at clearing grubs. So needs a lot of help from his team. So we're going to be able to see, are we going to find some playmaking, or are things just going to be kept a little bit quiet as these guys power up? When Mordekaiser is level 6, I expect that to be sort of the time that he's going to activate on the map and start to say no to some of the map movements from SGG.
I mean, I would hope that would be it. At the same time, I mean, once you hit level 6, we want to see Wisteria also roaming. This is a kind of a history of what happens with a lot of the Aries that I see is just you're not allowed to move from your lane. The whole reason that you pick Aries, you hit level 6, you start roaming, you start getting silly. And on that bottom side, we do see Decker running away, but you're still poppy, you're still doing okay, no real worries. That's gonna be a nice little proc. I just realized it's double procking from Mystic and Silly Goofy, but remember, the reason that you're doing this is because your jungler is taking Dragon. This is gonna be first Hex Tech going the way of the Wolves. It's not great as a solo, but it's still kind of nice, as we do see Shy Might trying to take these grubs away on their own. Bot side though is a little bit of danger. That's a final proc, and Mystic and Silly Goofy get a solo kill for themselves. Dragon also goes down, and Yomi can't retaliate.
Yeah, Braum Kaisa combo doing a deceptively crazy amount of damage, and Wisteria is actually here going to activate the Ahri ult.
Oh, that's a very nice dodge out, but what a draw in. Yomi is taken low, and that's gonna be dashed under the tower. Might as well, but you don't get it. Oh, the dive goes wrong, and Yomi's able to grab one. You'll still fall at the end of the day, but you know, it's a small piece. Yomi says, okay, at least I got one, but still, 4-man play. We talked about it. Love seeing Wisteria roam for it.
Yeah, the Wolves doing a great job here. Oh, here we go.
I love this call. What a flash to ensure that you get that stun. Now you're going to look for one more, and you catch a Mystic recalled in one of the worst spots, and SGG get a beautiful reactionary play.
Yeah, SGG punching back a little bit. You have the Ahri to Leah matchup. Both champions, their win condition is their team. They are trying to push, and they are trying to move. That is what they're trying to do. So the Wolves fire first. Great look from them, bringing their jungler and their mid laner behind the enemy tower. That's what you want to do. And then great response on the Poppy respawn, and Alphite able to convert on that second kill there is going to be actually really good for the SGG early game. They're actually in a gold lead for the first time this series.
That is rough to say, but it's such a big win for them, and we hope to see a little bit more of it as well. So we'll see how they can do, because Zoro is also taking a huge bit of pain. Iska this time around on that Mundo, I mean, able to self-sustain in lane feels great. Means Zoro can't really bully or take an advantage like last time. Remember, that Ornn was so pivotal in ensuring that Iska wasn't allowed to be that big bully all over the map that you're praying for. Iska's just chilling now, though. I mean, you're on vacation, you got the ukulele, you don't really care about anything, and you're farming up a storm. So I mean, right now, Iska's in that right spot, peacefully farming away and getting the lead.
Yep, it's going to be interesting to see what they can do with this Mundo Ivern, because the Mundo running at you with the trigger seed on you is absolutely terrifying. And again, it's just if they can control the map in the way that they want to. This Tilia is going to be a very instrumental factor in doing so. So as we're seeing, Dragon still 2.5 minutes away, going to establish some pressure or presence topside, going for this crab there. Nice leash. You actually don't need to leash Ivern on this patch.
Right.
And all the patches previous. However, good looks for SGG. They're actually they're contesting on the map at least a little bit.
And it's such a different scene that we haven't, you know, noticed before, is that they are walking around. Decker is actually able to remove themselves from the lane, and you can already see the buildings of that Warmogs, but Decker, realizing that they might be in a little bit of a strange place, was able to drop that ward. But I like it still. So far, the building blocks are there for SGG, and it's actually on the Wolves. We want to see them moving and really being that pain in the butt to deny this Jinx a strong play. Wow, Anks. You walked everywhere but on top of the ward, by the way. That ward was not spotted.
Yeah, so again, Decker going for those wards is actually really important. It enables his team to play their lanes out knowing where the enemy jungle is, and that's the first step to actually achieving activity on the map, right? You don't want to be reckless with your plays, and you know that Mordekaiser's bot side, we're not really going for a play unless we're expecting him to be there, right? So really love to see the support getting on the map, getting some wards around, especially specifically around mid, because if Talia can actually access the bot river, without fear, right? She's able to access the other lanes, and that's what she wants to play for. So Ahri has to play a little scared, a little bit annoyed, costing her a little bit of tempo, and now Talia is actually going to have her turn on the map if they can sort of convert something around this bottom lane. You see Shymite sort of skirting around the vision there to see if they can get a little bit of a maneuver onto the bot lane. Here we go.
Oh. And I mean, that jump forward immediately means that Silly Goofy has no real way out. You do have flash available, and you are going to burn that flash in place of the Demacian Hammer, the justice being swung by Decker Guy, but you like that. Already, Silly Goofy, you're not allowed that flash, meaning the next time you jump in, it's a big threat. Of course, that means Aegis and Zoro are able to look at those grubs, which, again, for the Wolves last time, they gave up those global objectives. This time, they're the first on the scene.
Yep.
Second, I lied. This is second set of grubs. I'm so sorry.
Second set of grubs. So grubs going 3-3 on this one. We're not going to have any Void Might spawns, which is that's fine to see. So again, like no clear advantage. Again, like it's really good to see SGG. They are keeping up with their opponents in the lanes. They are doing fine right now. There's a bit of a deficit in the AD carry CS. Bit of a win. Iska inching out a little bit of 1v1 advantage with this. You'd call it a blind pick, Mundo, but I mean, Angst just stole R5 away from his top laner, as we're seeing some activity in the mid lane.
If that bite lands, it's good, and that's going to be a dash forward. Outfight cannot play the game. And again, this is what you like to see. Malignant's feeling strong right now. However, the dragon was taken away, and look at that. Jordan, we're going to have some fun. This is an infernal soul to play for, and both teams want to get their hands on it.
Yeah, one drag to a piece. Again, like we've said it before, but this is a much nicer affair to what we saw in game number one. Game number one was way too quiet in the early game for SGG with the comp that they drafted for themselves. This time around, it's a lot closer of an affair. We're going to see the teams power up and the compositions actually come to fruition of who's gonna be able to outplay their opponents, because everyone's got an even footing. The last game was not fair. The Wolves had way too much gold, way too many tools after they were able to get past the early game power of the Nautilus Vi, right?
100% agree with you on that one. Different stakes at play here. On the top side, though, Zoro has been having a little bit of trouble here. You can see the extra HP is allowing Iska to cut through this tower like butter, grab 2 plates in a single swing. Of course, bot side Mystic is doing the same on their own, which we haven't talked about. Mystic 1-1-1 still has an enormous CS lead over Yomi, has really kind of powered themselves up in that region. So if allowed to, yeah, almost 1k over, already has a Kraken Slayer. If given the opportunity, Mystic has a chance to really pop off here if they can find those fights.
Yeah, just depends on where the Poppy's sort of going to fit into this, because Poppy can act as a disruptor, but again, they're using Poppy as more of an engager in this team comp with the Ivern back behind. So again, it's all about numbers advantage. Are they going to be able to rotate around as we get our first pause of the game, which will allow us to sort of unpack a little bit more of the context that's going on between these two teams.
And let's dive into that a little bit, because Shymite, I mean, you grab the Ivern B5 and you say, okay, unkillable Mundo on the top side, and you know, maybe the Wolves don't get aggressive, but you're not really making any major moves. The most you got was that dragon you matched out in terms of early advantage. But what do you need to start doing? Because I mean, you are leaning towards Iska, but do you avoid this bottom lane as well? Do you avoid the mid lane? Like, what's the plan there?
The question is Iska going to be sort of the, like, he picked Volibear game 1, which is largely a side laner, and he was unfortunately forced to do a little bit of team fighting, more so than they would like, right? Like, that's not where that Volibear build is really going to shine for you, unless you're team fighting like incredibly early into the game. So if this Mundo is going to transition into more of a team fighting presence, and they're able to sort of walk to some of these dragons with the Mundo power, I think when you're Mundo versus Skarner, your edge is not really in side lane. I see him like absolutely murdering this tower right now. However, his value in this game is not going to be, oh, I beat the Skarner 1v1, right? You need to get this Jinx the items. You need to get Talia online. And the way to achieve that is to leave. I think it's going to be on drag timer, which team is going to show up with 5 and make the enemy team check into you, because checking into Talia rocks, you're dead. Like it's Talia, Poppy, Ivor. Like you've got so many tools. Again, we talked about it game 1. SGG lost this game because they failed to use their tools. So if they are able to create pockets of vision, and again, that's part of the Decker guy. It's his job a little bit to establish some vision control, get some pinks in that river, and then force the wolves to check you in a dragon situation, right? That Mordekaiser is unkillable when they've set up, right? Like that's the kicker there. The Braum is unkillable when he's in the front. Don't let them do that. Don't let them fight the fight that they want to do. So if you can push the pace, and I think Iska can play the biggest role with that. If he's able to, he's got his CS lead. You can sack some of that to make sure you're fighting an unfair fight where Wolves is walking into you.
I can agree with that 100%. We'll see if Iska is able to pull it off. Right now, we are still waiting for this pause to kind of go through, and honestly, I'm not sure what's going on. So I think it might be good to actually go to a quick break, make sure we are set on our end, and hopefully Alphight comes back in that time frame. But don't go anywhere. Game number 2 is on already underway. Hopefully we got a little bit more as SGG and the Wolves do try and battle it out to see if we go to a game 3 or if the series ends right here. Please don't go anywhere. The APL will be back after we take care of the technical issues.
I am the light bringer.
Shortest pause of your life as we're getting right back into it. Alpha is trying to go for the kill. Wisteria has to flash away, and all of a sudden we do get the Talia wall over the side, but you can't continue it. As Alpha came right back from that pause and said, yo, let's battle it out. But of course, during that time, we did mention that Iska is going to be one of those main conditions if we do want to see that kind of uneven balance fight around some of those objectives, as we can see that Herald coming up in just a few. At the same time, for the Wolves, they're still kind of stuck in the same position of, are we actually going to see any action? Because you picked a very immobile champion in Aegis, and right now Aegis is just kind of wandering around.
Yeah, so Rift Herald available, topside control definitely in the favor of SGG. Eska's doing really well here. So if SkyMight is able to pick this up, Dragon is 2.5 minutes just away. So if they have that extra Rift Herald, they did succeed with that in game number 1 as well. They rolled up to the third Dragon fight, I do believe it was, and they just summoned a Rift Herald down bot, which just adds another layer of pressure and stress onto the Wolves. But they were not phased by it that time around. So let's see if the Rift Herald is going to it can open up a lot of options for the team that does capture it. So a little bit of extra gold, but then a little bit of extra power coming in. If they're able to break that mid turret or something along those lines, Iska is having his way, and he will actually break the first brick of the game and achieve himself such a massive lead in this 1v1 matchup.
I'm actually really surprised that you know, the Heartsteel build for Zero is great. Still waiting to see if we are going to see the Bramble come out here, which I would really appreciate. I do love the tier in there, so Wolves are going to have a little bit of a piece of their own. For right now, though, with that tower broken, this is going to have pretty free roam, and if Aegis is not ready for it, you could very easily lose a lot more on that top side than you really wish. At the same time, do need to stay on this bot lane. You got a minute and about 15 for the upcoming Drake, and that's going to be a little bit of a difficult choice to fight for.
Yep. No, exactly. I love what I'm seeing from Decker Guy right now, playing in the dark side of mid, creating a little bit of bushes that the wolves just have to be afraid of, right? If you're walking into a wall stun, if that's the opening of your fight or of your sort of let's get control of dragon, the dragon fight might end before it begins. So the Poppy's actually going to reset because there's no wards to be dropped here yet. So it's going to be a quick reset and try to get back on the map. Jinx is going to catch waves, so it actually might transition here. The wolves are actually first inside of the bot river. Because of some very late recalls coming in from SGG. It doesn't seem like they really care about setting up on the dragon early enough. They did get the Rift Herald. That might just be their trump card of like, oh, well, we can't get the dragon. There might be a cross-map trade on there for us, but Mystic is actually going to knock out his tower. Again, the 1v1 favors the top side for SGG, but the bot lane 2v2 is absolutely favoring the wolves. Mystic seems to be coming out ahead, not only in CS, but also taking the full tower at the end of the day.
I really want to keep eyes on that TP. Zora waiting to TP in if given the possibility, but there's not too many wards available to play to. So this is going to be very clear battle lines drawn, probably the clearest that we've seen in quite some time. With those wards being dropped, you know that they're there.
I really like this from SGG. This is really good. Iska's here. He's already made the front line.
Oh, wow. And they're calling down the TP very, very early on, but there's the hammer to bring him out, and I think that was the Braum, so you lost your front line. This dragon's going to be battled over, and Zoro's going to try and get the middle. That's a huge, huge impale. You get two. Yomi has to jump away, and now the backline Goofy is going to try and slow him down. That's going to give time to actually cut through Iska. Iska's pinned against the wall, and you jump forward. The gray health is not going to be enough, and Shy Might is going to lose out as well.
Oh, here comes the reset.
Prowess from the Wolves, and resets for Asterius to get another stun against the wall. Resets even more. Another jump with the Spear Rush, and now a dash of Mystic. Killer Instinct to seal the deal, as it's a 4-for-0. The Wolves clean house.
Yeah, Yomi walking away with that one. They lose the dragon, they lose the team fight, and SGG kind of falter. They have first move in the river. They have all their members there, and Poppy makes the play. We ejected the Braum. But then everyone just pauses. Everyone just waits for the Braum to sort of re-enter. And then silly Goofy guy actually just walks behind as the flanking Braum and lands a massive ultimate onto the backline. And the team fighting coming in from the Wolves is just, they're coming out on top once again.
It was destructive, to say the least. And honestly, that changes everything that we were looking at before. We mentioned Iska could be that prime playmaker. We mentioned that Shy Might could make Iska unkillable. At the current moment, though, it seems difficult to pull off. Iska was successfully cordoned off and forced to die, and now that's going to be a charge into the mid lane, as this is kind of the scraps and pieces of the puzzle that SGG get to collect. They get one tower, they're now 2 towers up, but they're still down in gold. As that's also I don't think Shy Might actually wanted this, as that was a little bit spicy. That could have gone really, really wrong.
I think I know who's driving and not driving the next Rift Herald.
Yeah.
That was weird. Okay, so the dust is going to settle. They do get the mid tower, so the gold is still very it's close enough to be playable for sure. It's 1.8k right now.
Oh,
because we're seeing Iska getting jumped, but ultimates pop. This is a very tanky Mundo.
I mean, you're tanky, but you already burned the ult. You had to flash away, and you know you're in trouble. So, I mean, I know we mentioned tanky, but you still have to burn damage. And honestly, the fact that Zoro was able to compete against a Heartsteel Warmogs is kind of crazy to me right now. So overall, well played on either side. Iska, though, losing out means you can't push any further, and top side will go down in favor of Wisteria.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit confused here because, okay, so it was some item completions coming in from the Poppy because SGG took mid lane priority, and then Iska was playing bot side. He got jumped by Angst on the Mordekaiser, so SGG knows where the Wolves jungler is. So that means that Ahri in the top lane is vulnerable, right? Like you can make a play onto that with maybe your Talia wall or a rotating Poppy up top. And they elected to take a recall, so Wisteria going to be able to take that tower and kind of get away with it too. That seemed a little bit, they're playing on both sides of the map. Iska's absorbing pressure once again, and this time he's actually going to eat the Mordekaiser ult. Is he going to be able to make it out of this one?
I'm feeling like a yes, and then they're telling me a no. So, you know, that'll do the work. Aegis goes ahead and slams down another kill. And quite honestly, Aegis being fed these options.
Oh, here we go. Here's the response.
Play into the mid lane as Mystic gets over the wall, and that's more than okay to play for. Yes, the shove comes out here, but the Braum is already body blocking enough. And in comes Aegis, says, yo, you can't do my bot lane like that.
Yeah, so that was a little bit miscoordinated by SGG. Like the Talia combo didn't come out in time to stop the dash coming in from Kaisa. But then where was Shimite during that? Like there needs to be some comms coming through from the guys saying Iska's 1v2 down there. Something needs to happen on the cross map, right? Like for sure, you have Talia Poppy, you have tools, right? That's the biggest theme of this series right now is SGG are not using their tools when it's appropriate for them to be taking action on the map.
It's such a problem. It feels like SGG are falling into that same hole, and granted, we still see that light at the end of the tunnel. If you wait long enough, the Jinx can get powerful. We've seen what Mystic can do, but at this point, we also know the Wolves know how to close out a game. They know how to cleanly team fight, and they feel they got the chance. They're going to rip it on Yomi, and it's going to be a problem. Not only that, a new objective to close out the game is still on the table. We didn't mention it before, but Infernal Soul could be the deal breaker with how this goes, especially if you gather up enough feathers, you get a little bit of extra ability, haste, and attack speed, and all of a sudden, you are blowing people up. And it's not going to be a good time. So things to watch for right now as the dragon will spawn in just about 45 seconds.
Yeah, it looks like SGG are finally aligned with some of the tempo on the map. They are able to maybe use this Talia teleport to get some control here. Because Dragon coming up, they really want to be playing for it. Iska's still inching out that 1v1, always getting an HP advantage here. 1v1. Skymite is here, but again, pressuring the Skarner doesn't seem to be the most productive if they're just trying to go for a chunk. But it is SGG finally achieving some semblance of control in the bot side river before a dragon. This is something they failed to do in the previous. So if you're serious about the objective, get there early. And Mordekaiser ult is coming through, but they're outnumbered here. The Wolves are definitely outnumbered.
They are, but the thing is Aegis is just like, yo, I'll battle you, Force. I'll fight to flash, and now the rest of the team can actually come in here. Aegis is fairly tanky, can take a beating if the rest of the team can actually join in. The death will not be in vain, but in comes Redemption behind. Impale is able to get two, but Zoro really can't go too far, and that's Mystic to try and jump in, but can't get the kill either. And because of that, Yomi's just free hitting. Yomi almost gets a reset. Goofy is able to flash away, and you are safe. The fact that only 2 have died so far is wild to me, as SGG take a grueling fight, are able to keep all 5 alive, and are looking at Dragon as the main prize.
Yep, that was really good. They were trying to fish for something maybe in the bot lane, and then Angst just kind of lost his mind. I don't know what he was doing in the mid lane, just running at the entire team of SGG, but that's not how you play. He burns the flash, burns the ult, goes down anyways, just caught in no man's land. And then that's going to be the objective and the team fight win. Finally, some signs of life coming in from SGG. They took action when they needed to. That's what we need to see. They're now only down 2k. The Dragons are completely even. They're going to complete a second item on Jinx, hopefully very soon. It might even be, yeah, it's going to be on this recall. She's going to be able to get her 2 item, which is going to feel pretty nice for her. She might start pumping soon. She's got to get, you know, like a couple more, maybe 2 more items, and then she can start hurting Skarner. But I mean, you know, it's coming through.
I mean, you really don't need to hit Skarner when Zoro was really nowhere in that case. Really, you're just trying to fight through the Braum to get to the backline. Because keep in mind, Yomi was outputting damage that fight. Everyone on the side of the Wolves was quite low, and the fact that only 2 died is what really surprised me. On the other side, though, let's not deny the fact that Mystic is also quite strong. 3 items. We saw a Flash of Gold earlier, 10k in the pocket. Can decimate someone if given the opportunity. What I'm really surprised to see is that we're not seeing any sort of heal cut right now. When I look down the line, when I see the likes of an Ivern and a Dr. Mundo, I immediately think a little bit of Grievous Wounds is not going to be too much of a problem. The fact that no one on the side of the Wolves is willing to pay that tax is very surprising to me.
Yeah, I can kind of agree. It should be an Oblivion Orb picked up probably just by Ahri, and then maybe somewhere on Skarner. Probably, yeah, definitely on Skarner. He's leaning against the guy, so it is a lot of out of combat healing coming in from the Warmogs, but I do agree. There is 2 Warmogs, and you're going to want to cut the healing in the fight. So we'll see if they do think of that coming in closer to this Baron. But again, like 25 minutes, and we're seeing this game is absolutely, it's anybody's game. Whoever wants to play better in the next 5-10 minutes is probably going to come out victorious here. So SGG is in the running. They've had a lot of rough games coming out so far in the early season. Talia Wall used to no avail there. Not even going to ride it, but Iska's on a monster flank right here.
And they get a pinch, but it's only against Mystic, and because of that, Aegis is now kind of caught in the crossfire. Once again, you ult to try and stay alive, and this time you have no way out. We mentioned before that this Mordekaiser should not get away for free, and this time you are punished for it. What a well-timed flank, and what a well-timed catch as SGG look to power through this bot lane.
Yep, and the fight's coming to Iska. We talked about this in the break, that Iska is the deciding factor here. More action in the bot lane.
Oh, that's just freedom to fire away. Double kill for Yomi. No respect by the Wolves, and Mystic is just now joining the fight. Didn't want to get caught in any of that fire, but now you are stuck in this situation where, quite honestly, SGG can do whatever they want. They took the inhibitor tower. They're going to take the inhibitor too.
Yep, actually really good team fighting coming in. The Wolves have completely let their composition, the complexity of their composition, maybe just let the game kind of fall off the rails right now. They're taking fights that they're not allowed to. They're walking in corridors they're not allowed to, and they're paying the price for it. SGG is showing some life. Wolves maybe disrespecting them in draft a little bit, saying we'll take your champions and do it better. And they're looking a little bit out of sorts right now.
I think for them, they're also realizing that they can't get away with kind of this slow roll. They're the composition that actually needs to look at chunking out the opponent. We can see there, you mentioned before, the Grievous Wounds coming out, Zoro just picking up that very slight bramble, still waiting for the rest of the team to grab any if they are. And Mystic, in their own right, going for that large AP section. I like it because you are the power point, but again, that does leave you waiting on the AD aspect because you already have double AAP on the other side. You have the R and you have the Mordekaiser, so Mystic actually cutting their damage down quite a bit, I think.
Yeah, I can agree with that. The Kai'Sa builds that kind of give you 3 evolves, I'm not a huge fan of. It seems like it's not dipping into one end far enough. So like if you're just going to shield all of that, Braum is tanky. We do know this. But Mystic is, or Yomi, excuse me, is sitting on 3 items on that Jinx, 5 and 1. Kind of erased a lot of the early game woes that they had. Mystic, massive CS lead for himself, but Yomi is absolutely still in the running.
I think right now this next dragon has to be given up. The Wolves don't really have a chance to fight. You're just giving gold over to Wisteria, and with it being handed over, I mean, you put yourself in a really, really good spot. For SGG, you should know that you are in the lead right now. Gold pacing wise, you just took back the gold lead. You have very strong champions. Iska is pretty much unkillable now. I believe that's over, I want to say over 4k HP in the bank. You have 478 stacks. You have that Sunfire. You are more than enough to stay in front of just about anyone. So SGG's Subatomic Gaming Graviton put themselves on soul point and are looking to try and defend against a Baron that may or may not be teased by the Wolves.
Yeah, I'm looking right now. That's 5,700 HP. With Ivern Shields, that guy's not dying.
Nope.
So we're going to see what the Kai'Sa items are going to come through. The question becomes, like, we gave this dragon, we're going to farm the supers. Looks like they're trying to get something back for themselves, but it looks like the dust has already settled. They're going to farm the inhibitor being fallen, and the question is SGG going to activate around the Baron, and are they going to be able to secure it? So bot lane pushes naturally for them. If they play too slow, that's a lot of income and XP that they're just kind of giving over to the enemy team. So securing that Baron would be sort of like the definitive foothold of SGG in favor of winning this game.
I'm actually really surprised that they're funneling more gold into Wisteria, where I don't see it being as beneficial as you would assume. I think Mystic could actually utilize it a little bit more, considering you are going for the AP and you are one of the more fed members, and you are, as the Kai'Sa, meant to try and chunk through Iska. I'm very surprised they're willing to give this to Wisteria as much as they are, so we'll see if this actually comes to bite them back in the butt or not.
Well, see,
right now.
that's mostly because Wisteria has TP, so if there's any like Baron shenanigans that happen right now, if Kaisa does show bottom, it's kind of it might be lights out for the side of the Wolves. It would be nice if they could allocate that, but that's the benefit of securing that bottom inhibitor. It's usually it's a little bit uncommon for the only inhibitor of the game to be the bottom lane or the top lane. It's usually mid that falls first, so it is one of those rare occasions where it's like there's a bunch of extra income for us, but it's so far away, and that's some of the macro game that they have to play here, because again, you can't let them have too much time on this Baron. Oh, here we go.
Holy moly, that was a chance. Yomi's actually down. I was saying Wisteria, I'm surprised you got the gold, but you made it work, and now you got to try and fight backward. Aegis is this time going to ult forward, and you pull Outfight a little bit further out, but that's going to be the hammer to bait everyone in once again, as the Braum is not going to be there to face tank. Zoro looking for a chance, but what a dive. Wisteria makes a play, but it's a small one there. I love the fact that you're pointing out, yeah, the TP works. This time you didn't need the TP behind it. Instead, you're more than happy just wandering back to secure that wave.
Yeah, taking down Yomi despite the shields, despite the peel, is actually going to buy the Wolves a lot of time to actually put some of these items together. Really good timing on that play. Good snap engage coming in from the Wolves, because that bot lane inhibitor being down, those supers were starting to knock on the base door. So that gets really stressful. That starts to feel like a little bit suffocating on what you can do. You're on a bit of a timer, and they were able to convert on it. So really nice play coming in from Wisteria on the Ahri to just kind of commit despite... Again, you're looking at these big Ivern shields, like both sums blown by Jinx, and the willingness to keep going forward after that was really nice.
Yeah, I like to see it. Now, for right now, we are waiting to see what else SGG can do. They are just allowing Iska to free farm on the top side. Take a look at that chunk. Every single proc of Demolish is decimating about 50%. And now you got to try and bait on the other side. Shy Might sitting up here with that shield said, yo, Zoro, you have no mana. You can't really do anything. And now the call down, because you were mentioning that TP availability. Wisteria went back with the rest of the team, and because your Mordekaiser showed, it's just going to be Baron handed over. That kill in the mid lane when you got it on Yomi means pretty much a nothing. Wisteria, though, going to try and roam in. Does have that shield up and available, but it's smited away. There is no chance.
Yeah. Are they going to be able to exit?
Nothing. I think they're fine.
It looks like they are. Yeah, the Kaisa W suggested maybe there might be a little bit of a chase down, but again, this is where Mordekaiser jungle becomes a little bit limiting. Angst is only one way to get there. No flash, no time. Shows on the bot side, and that's going to be Baron number 1, secured by SSG, or SGG rather. And are they going to be able to sort of crack the mid lane, crack the top lane, and close out cleanly? Because the gold is still very close, so the Wolves are not out of it yet.
I mean, do you see where that gold is allocated, though? I mean, the Wolves need to have another breaking performance from Wisteria. Wisteria now at 12.5 in their own, but an Ahri can only get so strong. At this point, you're pretty much full build. There's nothing else to be had. And Goofy's running a little bit of weird interference. You walk straight through an enemy Iska, and now you're down to about 3/4. That's a terrible thing to have happen, considering you are about to fight for soul. That is what they are bullying for. Outfight, of course, in their own. Chunked out, but you got the extra shields, you got the extra heals. And this dance is I'm favoring SGG.
Yeah, it's looking really dire here. They're probably going to end up conceding Infernal Soul here, as we're seeing. Oh, good. Okay, so a little bit of anti-synergy there, but the job is getting it done, right? Like, that's what we're here for. We're here for the dragon. Huge charm coming out from Wisteria.
Oh, but it doesn't matter. Look at that. Look at that. The shutdown is big. Zoro gets a huge impale once again, but they're going to try and fight it out. But look at this. Yomi's like, yo, I'm online. I got a triple. Give me another if we can. A little bit of zap of the wall isn't going to land. Yomi gets a nice little rock, but nothing more behind. Dragon will go the way of SGG, but a nice punch back, as that's going to be the chase. Goofy gets shoved in, and Outfight is now getting the kills. SGG are one step away from closing out a game with a much more reactive and late game draft.
They've only got the 1 minion though, and Mystic is still alive. So if he can recall and maybe suicide for this minion, it might buy them enough time, because the backdoor protection would come up. But it looks like he's having a really tough time sinking a W through. He does have the flash and the killer instinct. He does have to go for the minion, but it looks like he's not able to get in. And it looks like the base towers are going to fall, and this might be SGG creating a bit of an interesting series for us. We are going to a game number 3. really good signs of life coming in from Subatomic Graviton, bouncing back from game number 1, adjusting their draft and playing really cleanly. I liked how they played, given that their compositions are kind of trying to do similar things. They're okay going mid game, they're okay going late game, and we just got to see them trading tit for tat on we'll meet you in the river and we're gonna take a fist fight there. Iska, like huge shout out to Iska. He was a massive power force in this game that actually created some action for SGG.
It was so well done, and honestly there were some moments that I had some confusion, but for the side of the Wolves, the composition that we mentioned in game number 1, that Mordekaiser in the jungles falling a little bit to the leeway, triple AP at the end of the game, I'm not sure if that's actually what they wanted to go for. So in game number 2 or 3, what do you want to see them come out with? Do we want to see some changes? What exactly needs to happen for them to take back this series?
I think the Wolves I think they disrespected their opponents game number 2. I think that was yeah, I think that was a blunder. I think they picked way away from what they're good at. I don't think R1, R2, Ari Kaisa is respectful at all. I think there's a lot more dangerous things in their wheelhouse. I think they got a little bit too excited. We smashed them game number 1. Let's go with an easy, quick 2-0. These guys aren't anything. And then SGG coming out with a lot of good stops for what the Wolves were trying to do. They finally got control of some of the lanes. Bottom lane still is a question mark. Mystic seems to be having all the answers down there. So the Wolves just got to stick to what they're good at. I think just readjust and come up with, if they can come up with an answer for what Iska's doing up there, that would be nice. So maybe choosing red side to get a counter pick there. Like I don't understand the R5 Mordekaiser really putting Zoro in a tough spot there against Iska. Like he's suffering from minute 1 until the Nexus explodes, right? Like that does not sound like a fun lane. And this Mordekaiser jungle doesn't seem to be doing a whole lot. It's really cool when it does well, when it has an enchanter behind it, but that wasn't happening this game. So what can they do? Get back to basics.
All right, well, there you go. Some thoughts moving in as we are going to a game 3. The finale is on the way of the APL series this week, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Just like the heartbeat of the sea.
And we are set for game number 3. We have the side swapped as well. The Wolves now on the blue side get their chance at the Jinx if they so wish. SGG in their own right gonna go ahead and keep that Tristana ban. This is the big call though, rightfully so. You go ahead and ban away that Jinx. You cannot give it over at this point. It is too much of a tall order. Either side could pick it up and go, hey, we're golden.
Both teams showed signs of like, oh, we can actually kill this champion.
Wow.
But it just might not be worth. Okay, that's actually okay. So I have some sneaky little research here. That is, if that's being picked by the Wolves, which it totally is, that's a flex pick. That's a jungle mid lane flex pick. Wisteria has been known for playing some weird champions, adopter of many ADCs in the mid lane, but also we saw Fiddle mid from Wisteria. I think that was week number 1 last week when they got their win. So definitely a flex pick. We're gonna look at that. Xayah Rakan being picked up from SGG. These teams just seem to play every champion in the video game, but very different looks. Again, some go buttons, some good triggers. So maybe the tier list after Jinx is off the table. We're looking at a blind Xayah with Varus and things like this of this nature up on the table, or even the Ezreal. I feel like Xayah blind pick doesn't seem like that fun of a time. Like, it seems like this champion is very exploitable in lane, especially when Rakan is not in his strongest state, doesn't have a very good matchup against some of the tank supports. So we'll see what Wolves want to round out with. Nami, Milio, okay, maybe just going for a little bit of comfort there. Decker guy, and that's going to be a Milio lock. Okay, so they're picking some safety for themselves in the bot side, picking up some scaling for sure. But I want to see what they're going to draft for themselves to make this Fiddlesticks really work. And Iska's actually just going to build off of the momentum that he created in game number 1 and said, give me that blind pick Mundo, and I'm going to be an absolute terror in your top lane. Some repeat bans coming through. We see Garen coming through, but yeah, you gotta make room for this champion to operate. If Fiddle is unaccounted for, this champion is dangerous, absolutely terrifying, like literally lore and video and everything. But the support matchup is Rakan versus Milio, and if anyone's familiar with how these kind of supports will operate, Rakan will be in river warding a lot more than Milio will. Milio's going to really put a defensive line of vision down for himself, excuse me, and Fiddlesticks isn't like that. So not a very scary support, but you can maybe pair it with a scary jungler. So we'll see, or we do just flex the middle sticks. We'll see if that comes to fruition there.
Yeah, these are going to be pretty interesting. I like the Wolves going ahead, banning away 2 other champions on the other side. It was the Talia and the brain is lost. The Ivern, there we go. The Zyra picked up though in the mid lane. This is another little cheesy one. This is going to be fun to see if it works, and if it does, hey, that's a big dub on the board.
Likely Zyra jungle. That's been her premier role, at least on the patch. So we'll see if Angus is going to be taking that one. I do imagine it'll be a Zyra jungle, leaving mid lane counter pick for 5th. Like, there's some flexible things that can go around here, but Brand being picked up for the Wolves, so that mid or jungle. I imagine it's going to be the jungle matchup, so Brand versus Zyra, which is a very common one in pro play, and it looks like they're absolutely going to need an AD champion in the top lane. So what will the Wolves pick up? We're going to see Aatrox being hovered, but Iska is like the world-renowned Aatrox player, but he's already on the Mundo. So what will they grab? Is it going to be a run back? We're gonna grab the Poppy, something stable. Okay, so it's not the Skarner, but it's similar idea, and that's where they're gonna get their front line. So we are gonna see an appearance coming from middle sticks, likely in this game. And then R5 looking for a mid laner, and they kind of know a little bit of what they're up against. So what will they grab for themselves? Afiat, what do you have for us? Your Casio has been banned. Your Hui has been banned. Talia's been banned. Oh my gosh, everything's been banned. Does it go for something like a Silas, or are we looking at something more control magey? Okay, so we're looking at a Victor champion. Haven't seen this thing in a hot minute there. It's been lost in the library and thrown away because all the ADCs are roaming havoc in the mid lane. So it is going to be appearance from the Victor, trying to grab some push against Fiddle. We're in for a crazy game. I don't know what's going to happen in this one.
It's going to be a fun one. And of course, while we wrap our heads around this pickup, I do want to remind you that this is, of course, the APL, but there's so many other leagues going on. So hopefully you've been tuning in to the Aegis side of things. We got Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday of streams. So make sure to keep tuning into all the league action. For right now, though, we are going to go to a short break because these comps give us a little bit of a headache and we want to make sure we're good to go. So don't go anywhere. Going to go to a short break. APL will be back for game number 3. One to either put SGG in a winning side, or if the Wolves can close out what they started in game number 1. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. And we are set for game number 3. And as you pointed out, Jordan, it is Wisteria on that Fiddlesticks mid. Of course, that Brand in the jungle. On the other side, Shy Might sticking with a little bit of silliness. Instead of the engage this time around and not the supportive style, we are going to see that Zyra coming out in this patch. Of course, though, in this game number 3, we got to get that good old pinch right now, as that's going to be a silence, and Zoro can pinch against a wall. That might be the kill. If you can, flash over the wall to stay safe, though. Shy Might almost losing their life in the early stages.
That is a really good look there from the Wolves, getting the Zyra flash, but also they're going to leave some trail wards in the jungle, because disrupting the early Zyra clear is usually what you want to do against this champion. This champion's obnoxiously quick at clearing, and can be in your lanes before you know it. So knowing at least which side they're starting at to know which side needs to play appropriately safe. Looks like a bot side start for Shy Might, top side start for Anx. Very different look from both junglers, pulling out mages here in game number 3, showing some signs of life here from SGG, picking up their first game win. Is going to be feeling really nice for them. So something is finally working, and they're going to try and build off of that momentum. So must feel really good at this present moment. But are they going to be able to withstand the cheese pick of the middle 6? We're going to have to find out. The Victor is going to offer some good wave clear, some safety, and some control. But speaking of safety and wave clear, Ezreal, Milio in the bot lane, this stuff does not look fun if your job is to get on top of them.
Of course, in that same sense, Decker guy is going to be running interference. So if you're trying to jump forward, if you're Mystic and Silly Goofy, it's the same kind of issue. I mean, Decker's going to run interference in post level 6. Yomi's going to be real happy with that Feather Storm. So both lines being drawn here, as Mystic misses a little bit of CS there. Feels a little bit bad. I think so far has missed quite a few, but of course trying to hit that level 2 as soon as possible. Get that lane advantage and no real extra poke to go down.
Yeah, and they're largely unaware of Zyra's jungle clear. That ward on the Raptors did just fade, so they do know the bot side camps are probably down, so they're playing with a little bit of let's trade some last hits here for some pressure. Let's try and get that wave under tower. So you do see 9 CS apiece, so Yomi was struggling as well getting some of those last hits. So it is a little bit even, but Mystic is going to have a little bit of control, gaining push in that matchup, as it sort of should happen. When Rakan can leave this lane and impact a little bit of the mid lane, that's when it's going to feel a little bit nice. But which of the junglers is going to get ahead of the other is going to be one of the prominent themes in this game. And Iska is just going to try and build about 8,000 points of HP and then be a menace on the Rift.
I will say I like this. Well, somewhat, I should say. I like this style to try and burn through Iska as much as possible. I like the Fiddles. I mean, Fiddles, I think, has HP damage. You also go for a lot of that shred, a lot of that drain. And then you have the Brand, which does HP as well. However, this is the problem. In the mid lane, you're kind of squishy. And I mean, you have Flash, but the Flash afterwards is going to be good, and it's First Blood. It's just that easy. Shy Might, with a beautiful first setup in the mid lane, gathers First Blood.
That is exactly what you want when you pick this champion. Full clear, you're done, and you need something productive to do. So setting up in that bush and making mid lane a little scary, that's how they're going. Mid lane being scary for either team is going to be what's going to break this game wide open. This Fiddlesticks pick needs darkness. This Fiddlesticks pick needs fear in order to function. I don't think we're looking at a premier laning champion that can just wave clear, scale up with items. No, this champion needs to make plays and needs a lot of vision denial. So is this Brand going to be able to answer back what Shy Might just did on the map? And again, it's SGG with an early gold lead.
Feels good, man. And I mean, you can go ahead and try and put yourself in an even better spot as well. Right now, you can see that lead is helping out, but now this is a fear right back and a little bit of a fight. Alfight has no flash, which means the burn is going to be way too good. One more little tap should do it, and the shield ain't going to do anything. Wisteria answers back with a kill of their own and a little bit heftier CS lead.
Yeah, that's going to feel actually really bad because he's already burned the teleport. Really good to see teams when they punish aggressive flashes forward. So Alfight obviously flashed forward for the First Blood, but then he's actually going to be missing minions and XP, walking back to lane, doing a bit of a sad hop over there. So CS lead in the favor of Wisteria. He's got control of mid lane.
Let's see what else they can do here. I like this call down though. Wisteria
Oh, this ward is
seeing
so
and
good.
noticing everyone's here. It's just like, bro, really? This mid lane is now the place to be? Of course, top lane's not going to matter. No one really cares about top lane. But, I mean, Wisteria on this champion, you are constantly going to be kind of punished for this much more immobile mage. And even if you hit level 6, yeah, I love this, right? The double ward over the wall saying, all right, if Wisteria wants a recall, hit level 6, and then see if they can hop over the wall with an ult. Not going to happen.
Yep. Yeah, you want to diffuse a lot of the aggression that can happen on this side of the map. I don't think we can really call it the top lane anymore. I think we just call it the Isco lane because it's his home up there, and he seems to be having a lot of fun. And Zoro, he's been the receiving end of a lot of cleavers, a lot of annoying, like, you know, the Volibear matchup. Like that does not sound fun. So Isco's doing his thing, and he's gonna just be annoying. So here he goes. Again, like, it is a good look from Decker guy. Oh, as we're seeing, Sky might be caught up.
Yeah, but there's no dash, but that's going to be the level 6 ultimate, and Zoro should have more than enough time. Flashes forward even for that kill because he ran out of mana. Silly Goofy and Aang's with that rotate. Pretty dang solid.
Yeah, the Wolves doing a lot to enable their mid jungle combo here. The Brand is off to the races. He's doing quite well for himself. A couple plays converted, getting AoE on the grubs here. A little bit of fighting in the mid lane, trying to pressure this middle sticks. But it looks like it's not going to be much there. The early damage coming from like a Recon Victor is really nothing to be concerned about, and Milio is in the area. So at the end of the day, that's going to be 3 grubs picked up on the side of the Wolves. This dragon is largely being ignored until about now. It looks like Shymight is just looking to respond in terms of what's been achieved. But anytime Zyra is spending time away from her camps, that's good news for the opposite team. So see how fast that she's able to clear this dragon and then get back to her camps.
I think it's more just taking it away. I mean, Chemtech for first drag doesn't always feel great. It's just, it's there. So you're chilling at this point. It is, of course, a little bit slower as well. Alphite's just like, all right, let's get some wards down just in case. Shymight, though, again, in this current situation, you're okay. You're building up that Blackfire. You're making sure that you can burn down some of those enemy camps. And, you know, you're keeping pace with Aang's, which was actually something that I worried about last time. That's going to be an ult straight towards the middle, though. Such an aggressive one as Alphite has no way out. That was a kick the front door in and get the kill ultimate by Wisteria.
Yeah, no flashes burned either. So that play is actually repeatable aggression in the bot lane here. Shift forward from Mystic.
I'm not sure if you actually want this one, as Decker's actually outputting a lot. Keep in mind, Yomi and Decker, with this Xayah Recon, you actually get extra boosts in terms of the amount of feathers, in terms of the amount of damage, and the extra shielding. And Mystic, I think, didn't realize that one, so puts themselves in a little bit of a hole here.
Yeah, a lot of sustain on both sides, though, so it's going to be actually hard for them to secure a kill without sort of a jungler. As I say that, Yomi almost took Mystic's head off there, but they do have access to the heal and the barrier, so very unlikely that anything really transpires here. No Drake to fight over, no reason to fight, so again, it's just going to be ping-ponging the waves. I don't think Mystic's going to reset here. If he does, it's going to be extremely expensive. Okay, so there's SGG actually establishing some dominance in the bot lane, and for the first time this series, we're seeing Yomi actually get the better of Mystic here in the bottom lane on the Zyra Khan side of the matchup, which is actually a little bit surprising. You'd think Mystic with the Sheen tier combo would have a lot more to say in this matchup, but sort of kneeling down and taking the L on this one. Maybe some fear of enemy jungle presence. I do see a whole lot of red wards, and that's again the support dynamic that we talked about. Rakan is able to free himself up from the bottom lane and play a lot lower econ than the Milio there, so he's able to ward and create pockets of vision for his Victor to farm safely and to diffuse a lot of what the Wolves are going to be trying to do.
I think for that, I mean, we got to also look a little bit towards that future and seeing where they want to go from there. I love the warding vision that you mentioned, but what else can you look towards? Because Dragon's up in 3 minutes, so it's quite a long time before you get to see that objective really come up and see that glory. And in that time, you can see Aang's going ahead, trying to clear everything out, looking at that burn. And of course, right now you can see that Herald or the Scuttle will be finished off here very, very simply. Decker trying to join back in the lane. But that's really what my question is. As much as you have the vision down, it's always a big question of how much are you actually going to gain out of that information. Even Shymight just kind of wandering around saying hello to the effigies of Wisteria.
Yep, so both junglers showing a bit of presence. I'm very curious to see if an 1100 gold item that goes on the boots of the Fiddlesticks or the Victor are going to be picked up, because it's double AP coming in from the jungle mid on both sides, and both parties are absolutely one-shottable. So if they're able to pick up early merch heads at some point, I would really love to see that, because that diffuses a little bit of the damage. That's what's cutting through a little bit of the draft coming forth from these teams. Oh, Mystic absolutely going crazy here.
That was a little bit spicy there. Mystic was hoping to get the final proc off on that W, and instead ate a tower shot, had to lose the flash. And honestly, Yomi came out on the better of that trade, only burned the Feather Storm. And so Mystic is going to have a couple extra plates crashing the wave in here. I don't think you type this though. Neither side feels like this is a dub. So, you know, you push in the tower. Yomi gets a free farm a little bit, but you still got the plate. So Mystic says, thank you. I'll take the plate for my flash.
It's a massive support gap right there. Silly Goofy actually walked away long enough for Mystic to get the solo plate. And as we see, he might just burn down. The Faded Ashes is still ticking. Okay, he's fine.
No. Yeah, he's fine because of the healing inside of the jungle, and because of that, it's actually Aegis that falls. Now you get the jump in, and a flash orb by Wisteria is able to make sure the death was not in vain. Iska realizing they're in the same spot. However, Iska isn't really worried. Zoro doesn't really have a way to pinch you against the wall. You still have a lot of HP up. Wisteria, though, maybe looking to join in. You got the slow, you got the fear. If you get the auto attack off, you can also keep him in pace. But I don't think it's going to happen. So instead, you turn around, make sure you get a few more of these grubs, put yourself in a good spot.
Yeah, the double mage combo coming out victorious for the Wolves in this exchange there. They're absolutely taking over the map and creating some fear for this Fiddlesticks to actually function. He's 4-1 now, got a shutdown on his head. He's going to be able to complete the Leandries that he's going for first, and then he's going to power up from there. Going to be a lot of damage. Again, are we getting some merch heads coming through? Is the Zyra going to look for something a little bit more defensive, or are we just going full glass cannon? We'll have to sort of see. So merch heads are picked up onto the Victor. I think that's absolutely necessary. You're up against a whole whack of CC. Again, really good flash forward from Zoro to get that wall pin onto Alphite. So the dust settles. We are looking at about a 2,000 gold lead for the side of the Wolves. They are in control of this third game, but the second dragon, SGG, are already here.
I think they're going to be more than ready to fight for this. And again, with this dragon, it's not so much about the dragon itself. It's more about just getting that pressure down. A cloud dragon is nothing to really worry about, but the ensuing ones could be. Last time we got an Infernal Soul to play for, and that was a lot of fun. This time around, the explosive game-ending kills can really put a hole in a lot of the plans. Shy might, of course, trying to run interference, but the stun actually comes down on Decker, who walks in to their teammates. So Yomi eats up a quarter of the HP, and that, for Decker, is something that you can't really allow. Keep in mind, this is right before Dragon as well.
Yeah, Mystic has too much control down here, so the vision and the waves are always going to be in favor of this Ezreal now. This is where the matchup gets really annoying for, as I see even more action coming through, and that's actually Rakan going down right before Dragon, so that is the wheels falling off of the bus just a little bit. Yeah, as we talked about, that matchup of the Zyra Rakan versus the premier ADC on the patch of Ezreal doesn't get easier. It gets really annoying because he's just playing the range game. He's constantly pushing waves into you. Ezreal with push versus Ezreal getting pushed in are kind of like two different champions. Ezreal with push just seems so endlessly annoying, so he's able to achieve that. And again, we're looking at the Wolves members just kind of setting a trap here in the mid lane.
And I like it because you know Iska's going to get strong later.
Here's the ball. Here's the ball.
Basically saying screw everywhere else. We're just going to fight inside this lane. Look at the range that you have. The burn may almost kill, but I think Alphite is going to be okay. No, it's double burn damage. Is the last second to go down? You do. That's going to be the finish. Aegis is able to get the kill off screen, so far away. Well done for the Wolves, though. Keep in mind, you need these kills exceptionally well to make sure to cut through Iska later, who already has that Warmogs.
Yep, absolutely so important. The percent health damage, the double Leandries ticking on that Victor, the health, the amount of dot on the side of the two there. I thought Wisteria should have ulted over the wall, lost a lot of distance there with the placement of the R, but still able to get the job done. So really nice coming in from the mid jungle, and that's been a lot of the story of this game. The bot lanes are just trading waves, being super safe. Yomi had the edge in the matchup and then has since lost it. So the CS is absolutely dead even in the bottom lane. But again, the parties are so safe, they're so hard to kill, that all the action's actually just pouring into the mid lane. They got tanks in the top lane, you got super safe AD carries in the bot lane. All the action, just all that pressure has got to go somewhere, right? And Alphite is absolutely eating the brunt of that right now. He's got his Seraph's Archangel staff. When he can get that transform, he's going to be absolutely tanky, and he should be able to absorb a lot of that % health magic damage. But for now, the item lead and the play lead is absolutely coming in favor of the Wolves.
I think they're more than happy about the current stance. I mean, SGG, we know that they don't like making moves. We know that they like to kind of wait things out. And for the Wolves, I mean, you're sitting there going, okay, we know they're not going to really play over aggressive. We don't have to worry about that. Yes, the first blood was there, but honestly, we're already winning the bot side. We're winning just about everywhere else. At this point, it's really just about ensuring you keep this pace up. You're about 2.5k in the lead. You don't really have to worry about anything. That's going to be a nice punt back, as Yomi is starting to eat a brunt of this damage as well. And Shymite, keep in mind, this Zyra jungle doesn't bring a whole lot to the table, just like that, you know, the fast clear is good, but other than that, your ganks are still very slow. So we are still waiting for that power up in that same fashion. So for SGG, everything feels like we're still waiting for that timer to tick into the right moment.
Yeah, and this time in game number 3, it's actually going to favor the Wolves. They have the Rift Herald advantage. Previous games, it was SGG both times. So jockeying for position around the bot side river is going to be so important. And we're going to see like the Fiddlesticks able to achieve some semblance of control. Hopefully that Rift Herald will buy them a little bit of space where they can get some pink wards into the river and find a space for this Fiddlesticks to operate. Because if he can hit a big ultimate, the lights are absolutely out.
Such a dangerous spot to be in. At some points, though, later on, right now, it's more, am I worried about getting spotted on vision? That's what's really scary. Honestly, no, you're fine. Aegis is literally playing on top of ward, knows it's there. Shymite's just trying to clear out the effigies and be like, I hate this Fiddlesticks mid. It's so annoying right now. Top side, we're taking stock once again. Still a lead for Iska. Okay, we're good. We got like our 5-minute check-in. That's all we really need. Let's go back to the other lane.
Cleavers. Okay, let's go somewhere else.
Yeah, let's not worry about it. We're good. We're good.
Look at him regenerating. Oh my god, like I'm mad. I'm literally angry.
It's very rough. It's very rough.
That's why I don't play top lane. That does not look fun. And then there's like range top players of the game. Like, what's up with that? All right. Anyways, yeah. Rift Herald summoned. First tower of the game going to be going in the bot side. So we're going to see the gold lead balloon a little bit. That's 3,000 gold lead in the favor of the Wolves, and they've seized control of this bot side. They've snuck a bunch of wards into the enemy territory, and that is just perfect sort of grounds for Wisteria to operate on this Fiddlesticks. They're even going to get a second charge here. Mystic's actually able to charge this in, so that's really nice. Good damage onto that. Might be able to revisit at a different time. Flash being burned on Alphite to dodge out of that brand stun, and this dragon is got the Wolves written all over it. Barring some kind of misplay. Look at Wisteria. Eyes on Wisteria right here.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm so
eyes on there. That's going to be the ult. You jump in, you get one, and now you get a double silence as well. Alphite can barely do anything. Follow up behind, though, as Decker is trying to mitigate damage. However, Wisteria is more than happy about this pinch, and Decker guy realizes that Yomi jumped into the fray and has to flash away. It's going to be 2 for 0, and that's the power of the Wolves, and that's Mystic trying to go ham. The feathers hurt a little bit more, but that's going to be a huge punch in the back. The feather drawn, though, will be enough, or not enough, I should say. Double kill for Mystic, who is 3-0-0.
Yomi feeling so bad about that one, unable to pull off the 1v2. He felt like he needed cleanse for the game, but again, if you're not running that barrier or some kind of combat summoner, like cleanse is not doing anything for you against Ezreal Milio in a duel like that. So it's really unfortunate that he's unable to secure anything for himself there. The dragon is going to go over to the Wolves. I just want to say, like, I love Wisteria for this pick right now. Like when you pull out a pick that nobody else is playing, you have to play well. Like that, that's like the rules with a cheese pick, right? You do have it. You have an onus on your team that you're not playing meta because you think this is conditionally better, right? And he's locked this in, knowing its value, I'm trying to remind myself how early they picked it. I think they first picked the Fiddle, right?
Yes, they did. They blind picked it.
He's smurfing. He's literally smurfing. He's absolutely piloting this like, you know, he's played a million games of Fiddlesticks in the mid lane or in the jungle or both or whatever, and he's making his impact felt. He is flanking. He's finding pockets of vision that he can operate in. He's checking all the boxes for me in terms of like, yeah, like, I don't know what else to say. He's smurfing, and he's got his team a 5K gold lead here in game number 3.
I mean, just we'll see it on pro comps later. You know, the tally's up there, just like, hey, play what Wisteria played. Don't actually try it. That's a little bit scary. Right now, we are waiting for that ball to drop, though. In terms of this early game to mid game transition, I want to see the Wolves put that 6-1-1 Fiddlesticks into practice. I want to see them be able to start bullying their way into, say, Baron, into the Dragons, into more towers, because the towers are so low. Take a look. Top lane is pretty low. Bottom lane, second tier, is quite low. Everything is in favor of the Wolves to start crashing this game, because they did it last time in game number 1. Once they started to get a lead, they snowballed it into oblivion, and that's what they're doing right now. I love this call down. Yomi gets pinched against the wall, uses that cleanse, but you're still taking a lot of pain. Alpha is going to try and help out, but you can't stop the burn, and Yomi is now gone. That is going to be a problem. Shyamite's going to try and fire back. Mystic flashes away from those grassy seeds, and unfortunately, you lose your tower, you lose your ADC. You're gaining a little bit on top side, which is still 0-0-0, just trying to push this lane in as fast as possible.
But I love that from Zoro, honestly, identifying that his win condition is his team, and if he's bleeding in the side lane, who cares, right? Like Mundo is not Fiora. Mundo is not taking your Nexus by himself, like in the blink of an eye, right? Oh, more fighting here in the top lane.
I like how you say that, and Niska's trying to 1v1 the jungler, and right now, I mean, this is going to be a little bit of a slow burn because Zoro can't really do anything. Goofy's not going to do anything either. But still, you know, I know that you said it's not a Fiora. Iska still poses like a slight threat at least.
Yeah, but it's not as fast as the way the Wolves are playing right now. So if Poppy showing presence right there, Rakan can't play into Poppy like at all. Like he got one of his dashes canceled and like absolutely got obliterated. Like that just isn't fun at all. So he's contributing to the betterment of the team picture, right? They played away from Wisteria for a moment and was able to find a productive play in the mid lane. So Wisteria's going to find himself a little bit pressured here, but I wouldn't say he's caught. He's got his squadron of
very nice,
very close by. All in a teleport's coming in.
Bait. It's so good. It's so easy. Like, you bait yourselves in, if you will. There's the secondary kill behind. Alpha is going to fall. This is almost a Baron angle if you so wish. I don't even think you have to worry about respawns.
That was insane. That was a really good play. When you try to take the head off of the strongest guy on the map, there's a chance you can just pay the price. And Wisteria called for help, and the Wolves absolutely answered. So blows the teleport, comes in behind, again denying Rakan of all the dashes, just cleaning up, cleaning house. SGG are falling apart here in game number 3. They did put up a great fight, a really good bounce back from game number 1 here tonight. So we saw a lot of good things from them, but the Wolves has absolutely put their stamp here on game number 3, and it looks like the rift is theirs and more, right? So head over to Baron and collect your reward.
I mean, you don't even have to go for that. Take a look. This Ocean Soul could be a huge one to play for as well. We didn't even get a touch on that one. Wolves, literally, they have all the objectives that they could so wish for. Really, it's just closing out the game and getting more kills and having a blast. Like, that is what you're planning for. Shyamite just still trying to clear their own jungle, and you're not even going to have that chance. You're going to walk right into Wisteria once again. Remember, this is jungle. That's going to be a pain in the butt. You are silenced. Flash out by Wisteria. Even though you have a little bit of a Banshee Zale, that's okay. Well, you go ahead and do that. Now you're still kind of safe, but you have the ult to try and fight off anyone else. The burn coming out of Aegis is going to slowly chip this one away. Alphite's going to come around the other side. Oh, Shyamite is able to get a 2-man tether, but you don't have any damage behind, so because of that, you are burned out. Now, over the wall, everyone else goes, while 2 more members of the Wolves stay inside to take this Baron. That's pretty much GG. Out comes the Demosthenes Hammer. It's not going to land anywhere, but Aegis is just trying to take Baron on their own. I don't think they got it, though. They get executed, and all of a sudden, Baron isn't taken. So honestly, that's a dub, because guess what? Gold is flooding into the rest of them. Wolves, they lose out on Baron. They'll take the kills, but SGG are saying, yo, we'll take what we can get. At this point, we don't have many options. At least we stop the Baron.
It might be a temporary victory. Like, Eska's still trying to do what he can in the side lane here, but I feel like Baron is revisitable, but yeah, with the jungler going down, it looks like that will stall things out just a little bit. I was wondering this about 5 minutes ago, if Isco is going to be able to like be the deciding factor. He's got the merchants, he's got like a whole lot of stats. He can face check Wisteria, but he's about the only one. So I'm wondering, are they fully committed in the idea that Iska is going to get them a Nexus with side laning, or can they use the power of this Mundo to diffuse, like we talked about, diffuse a lot of what Wisteria can accomplish? Because if Iska is right beside Decker Guy when they're trying to ward some of this jungle, I feel like it's very possible.
It is. At the same time, you're going to have to realize that Wolves are starting to stack up some stats of their own. If they get this soul, it all of a sudden means that it doesn't matter if Iska's in the middle of them, you're not really going to be able to kill anyone. It's such a scary notion right now. So little bits and pieces are falling into place right now. And you talked about the revisitation of this Baron. You can see the wards going down for SGG. But, I mean, Wolves are already set up and they still have the power behind it. I'm very, very curious to see if they're actually going to play for it. They're going to force it once again, or if we're going to see a little bit of bait and switch, maybe try and catch SGG a little bit off guard.
Yeah. One of the sad realities to look at, though. Oh, here comes another Fiddlesticks ult.
Yep, that's Decker Guy just chunked out by Oblivion in the two-shot barrage. Solid shot. Decker will not be able to run interference disease. Wisteria can have a hell of a lot of fun.
Yep. There's certain AD carries that are picking Ezreal on the patch right now because he's strong, and then there's certain AD carries that play Ezreal, and Mystic plays Ezreal. I can say that for certain, coming out with a good snipe there, and it looks like they're just kind of setting up for another revisit, another fight here.
I mean, that's not really a fight when you just get demolished like that. That is no fight. Unfortunately, so that's going to be a pain in the bucket for the Wolves. Unless Alpha can get a steal here, there's no way. Yeah, that's a smite coming down. 800 HP, more than okay. So now that you have these objectives, you got to deal with Iska on the side lane, free pushing like a monster at level 16. You talked about this, though. Iska can get an inhibitor tower, but the Wolves can basically push whenever they wish.
Yep, exactly. They are kind of, yeah, taking everything that they want. If this inhib falls, Iska's side lane hopes are kind of few and far between. He's done a lot of work this game, but it's a lot of work for the maybe not the right cause. I think he's playing really well, but his team is suffering too much on the back end, so they need to either rethink the way they drafted because they have no front line without Iska, or Iska needs to be a part of the team play a little bit more, teleporting into some of these fights. Yeah.
I mean, we already see it. You can see Iska now shielding up with that the Rukern in pocket. So extra MR.
Yeah, here's the face checker. Here's the face checker we need. That's exactly what we need.
Look at that. It barely does anything. There we go. Finally healing up, though. You are just barely staying alive. And really, I'm watching Zoro if you get a TP off. But this is going to be a 5-on-4.
Oh, here we go.
Charge in. You chase him to the back line. You don't really catch anyone. Axel jumping in with the rest of the squad. That's the wombo that you wanted. Screw Iska. Nobody cares. Just demolish everybody else. Death and galore is there as Mystic is going to slowly shred through the bad doctor. And SGG can't contain against it. Wisteria and Aang sacrifice their life for the team.
That was insane. that was absolutely insane. Wisteria is so good at middle sticks. I'm a believer. I'm a Wisteria believer. I'm drinking the punch. He's cooking. So that was really good to see. Iska is not going to really have anything to say about kind of what's happening to his base here. And the Wolves played well all night. They've earned themselves 2 inhibitors. Are they going to go for a third? It looks like they're sort of grouping in the bot lane here. They're going to try and knock the third, but some of the respawning members might dissuade some of this. But with the Baron buff, it just seems like it's an inevitability.
I'd sack your lives for this. Yeah, you have enough minions. You got all the inhibitors. You got everything. Literally off that one fight, off of Aang's and Wisteria, you have cleared the base. You even got a Nexus tower behind it. Wolves are 1 step away from clinching the series.
Yep. Establishing their foothold as one of the teams to be feared in the APL here. So we'll see if SGG, if I'm SGG, I'm probably, I think you're drowned in so many supers that are about to spawn. So if Wolves are patient at all, this game is kind of unwinnable. But what I would do is if you have a moment that some of the waves are pushed out, try to create like a bit of a death bush and maybe try and kill somebody, because that's and Wisteria's done it.
And not only that, Wisteria at this point, I hate saying it, is actually just a CC bot. You're just trying to get the stun down to allow Aegis to jump forward. It's such a well-timed play because Aegis is really just that much damage with the HP burn that you can cut through Iska. It doesn't matter what you're doing. There ain't no stopping him. Yomi can't do anything as that's a double kill. Mystic is going godlike right now in this unkillable state as that is going to be GG.
Oh, there's the flash forward.
Take home the victory in the ace at the end, 30-5 at 30 minutes in. SGG unfortunately fall.
Yeah, absolute banger series. Again, I want to commend SGG for a solid night. The ability to sort of like show us something. They executed their composition in game number 1, but in game number 2 came out with completely new draft and really came together as a team, pulled the trigger when it mattered, got control of the game, and really like kept pace with the enemy team throughout the game. And then it was just clear that they really didn't know what to do about the middle sticks. The ability, like Wisteria took hold of that game, and Angst enabled that to just be like the statement of the game. Like they just flooded mid with so much pressure. Alphite couldn't play. Like there's nothing he can do. It was just kind of like, I have a late pick in the draft. Grab me Victor as sort of like a neutralizer or something to offer some kind of control, scaling, whatever. And just got absolutely demolished in terms of like pressure. There's nothing he could have really done. But again, like solid series from SGG. We'll see if they can show us anything more in some of their future matches. They got their first game win. So again, tonight was not a failure. You can't look at that as a failure. Tonight was a stepping stone for them to improve. There's a lot to look at here. You're throwing mud at the wall, and some of it's actually sticking. So that's what you want to see. And then on the side of the Wolves, you sort of isolate what you're good at and perfect your craft. And if it's like cook picks like Fiddlesticks in the mid lane, all the power to you. But I would not want to lane against Iska. That guy. Oh my God, that looks annoying.
It really was. And for right now, the Wolves can go home very, very happy with their victory. We'll see if they can do it again next week, maybe. But of course, right now, we are done here with the APL Aegis Esports. Of course, very much thanks you for tuning in. That'll be it for the rest of the week. I think we got some across maybe a little bit of the weekend. I'm not sure. But of course, keep eyes on social media to see when we're on next. Please, thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Orbital. With me has been Jordan Bott and, of course, Chippy on the production. Thank you so much for tuning in and have a fantastic night.